Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's the old MCU crew. It's probably going to be our longest show yet. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I don't know if you guys knew this. Black Widow came out over the weekend, episode 5, perhaps the best thing Marvel's ever created, but maybe that's just my own opinion, is also out there. Jesse's shocked. He hasn't heard this
No,
yet.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
He agrees. This is the 1 hour MCU crew every week. We always hit that mark. We never go over an hour. So there's no need to question how long this episode's going to be. We are doing a little bit of new hardware though, so there might be some issues throughout the episode. I know Jesse's in low bitrate land, and I think that's on me and not him. So don't yell at Jesse. All right. I'm who takes all the hits? Am I the Hulk? You can just hit me and I'll get angrier? No, that's not. I mean, that's true. But
No, that's how that works. No, you're the Captain America.
I'm the Captain America. Okay.
Yeah. If this is what we're doing, you're Captain America.
Okay.
Bronze is Tony Stark.
Okay.
And I am
Groot.
Okay.
You're Groot. That's just how it goes.
I am very pleased with being Tony Stark. I will happily be that person. And it makes sense because I feel like I have the spiciest takes on, or like the dissenting opinion most of the time, which, I mean, if that's not our own Civil War, I'm sure chat still remembers my inflammatory remarks about Ant-Man 1. So that's basically the Mutant Registration Act. So I will happily wear the mantle of Tony Stark.
There you go.
Thanks.
That's true. Well, let's jump into the news here. Let's not waste any time. Because there's actually a decent bit of news here. The biggest news, at least in terms of the monies, Black Widow made a shit ton of money over the weekend. I saw, I think it was 210 million across all their different things. I think it was like 60 million for Disney Plus. The rest was in the US and then internationally or something like that. It was a lot. Did you guys end up going to the theater? Did you watch it at home? What did you all decide?
Watched it at home.
Yeah.
Me too.
Like any rational person, I was like, wait, I don't got to go deal with other people? Yeah, no, I'll pay the ridiculous fee that Disney charges.
Yeah. Bronze, you were Disney Plus as well?
Yeah. Especially because I wanted the ability to pause.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I like to...
Pausing is strong.
Yeah, if you need to pee because you've been drinking too much liquid or whatever, you don't have to sit there and hold it through the last 15 minutes of the movie, tapping your foot, being like, God, when will this end? You know, I've had movies ruined for me like that, where I feel like they dragged on, but then I have to be like, well, is it all of the soda I drank? Or is it that the movie is boring? I can't tell because I just need to pee.
I get it.
I can't be the only one that's gone through this.
No. Ours is similar, but with a dog. The dog has to go out. So we had to hit the pause button. But Jesse was just full on 2 hours and 10 minutes or whatever, how long the movie was.
My bladder is like steel trap. Nothing get in or out.
Okay.
It's like my stomach is like Fort Knox of keeping in poo. You not get out during movie time.
Right?
Russian accents, everyone. Russian accents.
I can't do one, so I'll play the straight normal guy here. Bronze, do you have a Russian accent? Putting you on the spot.
I am just confused on how Jesse has not exploded with shit.
I know they explode. His belly designed for vodka. What can I say?
And,
you are like leadership of North Korea. Not
JP tried to end scene, but he cannot. We control podcast now. He's ours for Mother Russia. He tried to stop, but we no stop. Embarrassment to all.
Speaking of Red Guardian, the Black Widow director Kate Shortland said that he deserves his own movie. How do we
agreed?
Do we all? I mean, let's not. I don't want to go into the full review of the film, but I'd watch a full movie of him just being an idiot, sometimes an asshole, maybe a little bit of both.
I definitely think it would be comedic in nature.
Yeah.
Like, I think it could be something very different than what they've done before.
Sure. Yeah. It would be interesting. I don't know if they've got enough for like a season there, but maybe a little bit more screen time. Maybe throw him into future films. I'm into it. I hope he pops back up in the MCU, but we'll get to that in just a bit. Some other news. Taika is out there. This is a very Taika quote, and it's also one of those quotes that makes me very excited for anything that is being created. He has a quote out there, according to the Hollywood Reporter, that says, Thor Love and Thunder is so wild, quote, it's almost like it shouldn't be made. I don't know what that means, but I'm on board.
Oh, Taika.
Just give me the crazy.
That's just my response to that.
Give me the craziness.
Oh, Taika.
Are you like, who could it be but Taika? That's me.
Yeah.
Is that like what is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Sure.
He goes on to say, well, just between me and you and the readers, I've done some crazy shit in my life. He reiterated to Empire. I've lived like 10 lifetimes, but it's the craziest film I've ever done. I mean, he has done some like pretty absurdist movies, so
I have to assume that crazy means like crazy good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Scale wise, not like it's David Lynchian.
He goes on to explain, if you wrote down all the elements of this film, it shouldn't make sense, he said. It's almost like it shouldn't be made. If you walked into a room and said, I want this and this and this, who's in it? These people. What are you going to call it? Love and Thunder. I mean, you'd never work again. Maybe I won't after this. There'll be far more emotion in this film and a lot more love and a lot more thunder, he said, and a lot more Thor if you've seen the photos.
Great.
Yeah.
I think this is also the Taika effect, though, where it's like we expect him to come out with something different than, because Ragnarok was very different and when it came out. Like, now I feel like other things have followed that blueprint a little bit. But when it came out, I felt like at that point, Marvel hadn't made a movie like that. I felt like it hit a note that Guardians had been trying to build towards for a few years, but was still trying to remain within the general theming of the MCU. And then I feel like Ragnarok came out and did not care. Like the opening sequence where he's hanging in front of Surt. That's so different and weird. And
right from the go, yeah.
I feel, they were not like, I get that, like, you know, Peter Quill's entry was kind of like that, but this was, I don't know, to me, it was very next level. And then the recurring joke of him rotating around, being like, you know, oh, hold on a second, while he's like rotating around, was so stupid, in my opinion, but that's why it worked.
Sure.
Because I'm a big fan of What We Do in the Shadows. I was excited that this director that I've loved from so many other projects was touching Thor. Anyways, that sentence was weird. But I was excited to see what his envisioning of it was going to be. And it did have What We Do in the Shadows elements where the joke is just so dumb that you can't help but laugh. Like, he's just rotating around.
Very
it's
much
just so stupid. You know, but that's what makes, I think, Ragnarok lovable and different.
Yeah.
But I also feel like now he has to live up to his own legend.
Yeah. I mean, this is like his first repeat film, right? In the MCU. Yeah. That's true. Something to think about.
I think people are gonna like, what is he gonna do next? And I'm sure he'll do great, but I think some of it's also probably him just being like, oh, it's crazy. Oh, I'm Taika and I'm adorable and quirky, and I'm gonna say that this movie shouldn't be made and all this stuff, so I can convince you that this is gonna be just as crazy as Ragnarok was.
Right. Just a quick reminder. Hemsworth, of course, will be there as Thor. Tessa Thompson will be there as Valkyrie. Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. Natalie Portman will be back as Jane Foster, who's also going to become Thor. Several of the Guardians of the Galaxy stars, including Chris Pratt, are going to be there. And then, of course, Russell Crowe is playing Zeus. So,
how are they going to fit all this into one movie? That's my only concern. My only concern is that there's 2 Thors and that one of them is supposed to become Thor. And there's also going to be I feel like that's I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know.
Maybe they'll do it, but
yeah,
it's a lot of people to have on camera at one time.
Well, the Guardians will probably be the opening of him getting off the ship and them saying some dumb jokes and then something happening and maybe Chris Pratt sticking around or something. And then that's it, right? They're not going to, they're their own thing. That's just going to be an update on what the Guardians are up to. Ultimately, I see Jesse's doing the beard tap. That means he's thinking. That means he's
thinking. It's one of those things where I'm convinced 90% of the cats you just mentioned are in it 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no way.
Well, I really hope
they're going to be.
I hope the film starts. Here's my hope. I hope the film starts with Russell Crowe somewhere on Olympus giving a speech, and then all of a sudden we get a Christian Bale, American Psycho, face covered in blood, straight through his chest. And then Love and Thunder smashes across the screen, and then the film starts, and that's how it goes. We'll see if it happens.
What rock song from
is gonna happen
early 70s do you think they're going to play over the murder of Zeus? Just putting it out there. Just putting it out to the audience. Give me Thunderstruck. Of course, that's what it's going to be. No, that's AC. It's AC/DC, which is more of a Tony Stark thing.
Yeah,
that
was an Iron Man 2.
Yeah, that's more Tony Stark. We got to go it's got to be something wild. Just put it out there. Stairway to Heaven. It's too slow to start.
Just have a harpist or something playing Stairway next to Zeus. That'd be very regal.
God, Holy Diver. I mean, obviously,
Dio is classic.
Yeah.
If he bursts through his chest
it says Holy
and
Diver.
The song Holy Diver plays in the background, oh my God, that would be the best moment in Marvel. I feel explodes through his chest. He's
at this point,
amazing.
At this point, it's such a good idea if Taika's not rewriting the movie for this to be the opening scene. He's really messed up. Yeah. All
I'm saying is you've got time. You've got time to add it. Just saying.
Yeah. It's true. It'll be a doozy. What else is out there? Karen Gillian recently read the script for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and quote said there was full on tears. The Nebula actress also says that it's James Gunn's strongest work with the Guardians yet. Is this going to be the sad movie where this is I think he said this is the final one that he's doing, at least when it comes to the Guardians. So are they are they going to kill Rocket? What are we going to do here?
It has to be an Adam Warlock story, right? It has to be
a portion of it. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that, and it has to be Adam Warlock and then Finding Gamora and Falling in Love, the movie, right? That's what it has to be.
True.
Those are pretty much the 2 things that have to happen. But
also,
I was gonna say, I bet you that's where the tears probably come from. Is probably from.
Well, Drax has also said he's done. The actor for Drax has said he's done after this. So they could kill him, maybe. I don't know, what his. If you think about the arc of the individual characters, I don't know what that is though. They've all kind of had their arc.
I mean, I feel like they all have kind of half-baked arcs too, because it's difficult to push a lot of narrative for each of them forward in every film because there's so many people, like I said, on camera. And with Drax, he had this very sweeping story, I think, in the first film, where it was he had this tragedy and he really wants to kill Ronan, and then he figures out Ronan's just a puppet. So then he resolves to kill Thanos. But then after that, I feel like in the second film, there was almost no follow-up on that. Like, it's like he would, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there was just very much like, I was like, at this point, I don't know why he's here. And to be honest, I feel the same way about Nebula. I'm sorry. There's parts where I'm just like, why? I don't know.
Well,
like,
she's like she's the straight guy, right? Like she's the female Drax in a lot of ways, but not as maybe not as dumb. Like the smart female Drax.
I think they could write the two of them out in a way that isn't like, and then they die. Like, I can see how the two of them would be like, hey,
live on.
You want to not do this anymore? And they're like, yeah, let's not do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can see them ending the Guardians like franchise, but spinning off the new characters. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things from that world, like Nova and Adam Warlock, that they can be like, oh, here's new stuff moving forward.
There's a ton of stuff. Yeah.
And then we can just be like, goodbye, Guardians. Thanks.
And a lot, like, if you think about the Disney Plus formula, a Planet of the Week type thing would make a lot of sense for whatever the future team looks like, right? Or whatever of whichever group of the actors want to continue on to just like hop down into a planet for a week and figure some stuff out with maybe like an overarching cosmic entity looming, right? Like that'd be kind of interesting. Which I think in a lot of ways after we'll get to it, but I think I prefer the Disney Plus formula now over the movies, which is a bigger discussion. But
wow,
we'll see.
I can't wait to talk about that.
That's I'm sorry to drip feed that take out there. We do have a tiny, just a little bit more of news. There was, and then we'll get into the shows. Did you guys know in the most recent episode of Loki that Chris Hemsworth was in it? You want me to tell you where?
Was he one of the goons? Was he one of the goon Lokis?
You want me to tell you where? Bronze, do you have a guess?
Oh boy, I'm gonna be disappointed.
I'm trying to figure out who it would be. Was it the frog Thor in a jar?
It was. He voiced Throg.
He voiced the like that like weird noise. That was awesome.
Throg. Yeah, he was Throg.
So cool.
He was Throg.
Good to know.
It's good. That's good. Yeah, the Kate Herron revealed that on something, some pod. I think it was For All Nerds, maybe the show there, which is also I guess a Twitch show, which I didn't know. There you go, twitch.tv/forallnerds.
Now let me ask you a question.
All right,
based on what we know about Loki, could Thorse exist? Is Thorse a possibility?
Maybe.
Or horse. Just putting it out there.
Could be.
Thorse.
Could be. I offer you guys a question, a conundrum here. What do you want to talk about first? We going Black Widow or we going Loki?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Well, you do. You make the call.
It's your show. You decide.
Okay.
This is a JP tatership.
Yeah, and I'm off. This is now a democracy here for the next 30 seconds while we decide.
Don't do that. You don't want that. You don't want that.
You give us power. It's over. Logically speaking, it would make sense to do Loki first because it's been out longer. So that way, if people haven't seen Black Widow and they need to duck out, they can still catch the Loki discussion before they leave.
That's a great, that's a producer comment right there. There you go, Bronze. We also have that What If trailer. Did you guys watch the What If trailer?
Sure.
I thought that was great. I actually was not interested in What If until I saw that trailer. Now I'm interested in What If. They got me. I think the trailer should look pretty cool. It should be pretty cool. I want to see that Zombies Avengers episode.
I want to see the Tony Stark one.
Yeah.
Where Killmonger saves him.
Yeah, I wonder if he even becomes Tony Stark.
Does he become Iron Man? That's what I'm wondering. I'm sure he still has his character change, right? Because he was almost killed by one of his own missiles and he realizes his weapons are in the hands of terrorists. So I'm sure he would still go through that character development, but would it be like me and Killmonger, this guy that saved me, like, we're gonna put an end to this
Wakanda
stuff.
Or something like that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, maybe.
I don't even know. I'm interested.
Yeah. I'm excited for that just because it is a total like what if scenario. That you can actually play that stuff out.
And the animation looks dope.
It was a little divisive. I saw on Twitter. Some people really.
I'm not a fan of the animation.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I like it. I like it, but I know a lot of people.
I think it's very different.
It looks like a scanner darkly.
Yeah, it looks like a rotoscope.
Unnatural.
Too unnatural.
It looks. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it looks like even when their voices, you can hear the actors emoting, but you don't see it in like a lot of the animation. I don't know. I'm not like a big fan of it.
Yeah. It was all right.
I think I like the Uncanny Valley because it's a what if.
That's why it works for you because this is all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all hypothetical. It's all a dream scenario or whatever. And
they do exist. Like, this is all variant shit, right? Like, this is all alternate dimension. So.
Well, I don't. Is it?
Yeah, because the Watcher says like he sees all realities, but he can't interject. So it's all really happening in one form or the other, I think.
But I mean, I thought like the premise of the Watchers be like, yo, this is just some weird ideas. Like, what if this happened? But not like it did happen.
I think it did happen, or it does happen.
I mean, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. True. I think that's definitely the one show that will not grab that many folk. Because it's not going to be like, a canonical tale of continuing some grander story for a lot of people. But it might be the type of thing where Twitter goes crazy because they're, they get to make fan art of some absurd thing that is now out there, like Zombies Avengers, which I think looks pretty funny in a weird way.
Someone in chat was like, yo, who are the Watchers? Like the Watcher and those Watcher dudes, a great shout out to them happened in
Guardians 2.
The second, one of the movies. Stan Lee is literally hanging out with three of them. They just are like ultra powerful beings who see through time and space, and they're like they kind of look like how you imagine big-headed aliens to look. But they're also like, like old white dudes. I don't know how to describe them. They're like big-headed old white guys. They have
with
like
the giant like cloak, like a,
Yeah.
And
that's like their thing.
Pop colors.
Their thing is to just be above it all and just be like,
they're like cosmic entities.
Yeah, they like watch it all happen. They don't really interfere. They just like take notes. Basically,
they're pretty powerful, though. I think in terms of a power scale, I think they do have some actual power behind them, but they don't, like you said, they're called the Watchers. That's literally what they do.
They purposely stay out of stuff.
Right,
that's their whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Cool. That's that show. Let's talk Loki. Episode 5, entitled "Journey into Mystery." The spoilers can fly in chat. You've been warned. I felt like this episode was a love letter to absurdity and Marvel comic fans and people that love to see weird shit shine through. Because it was an hour of weird shit from start to finish. It was great. I'm super into it. Like, the Thanos copter made an appearance. Throg was there. The alligator Loki, Croca Loki, whatever you want to call him. Like, I'd never in my wildest dreams watching Iron Man 1 could any of this shit ever exist. Ever. On this scale. It's crazy.
Was
exactly. He ate someone's hand.
He ate Loki's hand.
He ate Loki's hand.
He ate a Loki's hand. It's crazy.
Like, what an amazing... the entire episode was just... It was the MCU saying, like, if we take off the chains, this is what we can do.
Totally.
And I loved every minute of it. It was ridiculous. It was fun. I mean, like, let's be real. If you peel apart what the episode was, it wasn't like a lot.
No.
But it seemed like a lot because there was so much they did in this episode that was like, I can't believe this is happening right now. I can't believe we are doing this. They didn't need to spend a bunch of money to show the sailors of the Philadelphia experiment get vaporized by a giant space dog.
Right.
But they did, and it was awesome. And I was like, let's keep going. So I'm excited for the next one. I hope it is even crazier.
Yeah. I mean, there's just an absurd amount of Easter eggs in this episode. Thanos' helicopter, Throg, King Tower, the Living Tribunal head, which was the statue that existed towards the end. I never even saw Yellow Jacket's helmet. That was a thing. There was multiple Mew Mews in there. I'm just going to go with that instead of trying to pronounce it and mispronouncing it. The Dark Aster showed up.
At the end, yeah.
Yeah. The Sphinx was definitely a reference to King the Conqueror's potential thing, that vehicle that he perhaps put there. There's a lot. Yeah, the helicarrier. There's stuff all over. They had a great time with that. And then even with all that stuff, they still told like a cohesive story and made characters that, even though they were on screen for a matter of 20 minutes, was like, oh, I'd watch a full thing with those people. Yeah. It was fantastic. Bronze, what did you think? Where are you at with episode 5?
This episode was a triumph, and it was such a masterclass. Something's going off. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So my apologies.
Oh, you're good.
But it was, I think, like such a masterclass, and like it's not the amount of time a character is on screen, but how well they're written. Because I'm gonna just be honest, they got me invested in King Loki. There were definitely tears for me at the end there, and I was like, I've spent all of 40 minutes with this character, probably less, and I care. And yet it took WandaVision for me to give a damn about Wanda or Vision. I'm sorry, like throughout up until I had finished WandaVision, I did not care. I really did not care about her. And when it was like, Vision's like, I love you, I was like, why? Like, I just didn't understand why they were together. And it wasn't until the end of WandaVision that I was like, oh, I understand this relationship. Or, oh, I kind of, like have some feelings for Wanda now. And so I was like, man, it shouldn't take like 3 movies to finally give a damn about a character. Even the whole scene where she's like, is this chicken paprikash? I was like, why is this scene here? No one cares. Like, you don't even have a Russian accent half the time, but now suddenly you miss home. Like, I don't know. It was just weird to me. I didn't like it, but I feel like they're getting really good about it. I feel like they're getting really good about not needing to take 40 hours on screen to finally get you to care about somebody, and just making those establishing moments, like establishing them rapidly.
Yeah.
Can I like make a wild observation? I don't know if this is true.
All right.
But I feel like with Loki as a character, we've gotten enough screen time. We've gotten like, he's a character that's fleshed out so that when we meet other Lokis, we already inherently get them and who they are. And so we can see a Loki who lived through stuff. We can see but when it comes to Wanda and Vision stuff, their screen time was so minimal and their characters so underdeveloped in the movies that like when it came to their story and their life, the investment was already like, I mean, all right. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't a lot of like there wasn't a lot there. So I can understand how you would be like, why do I care about their day-to-day married life when we haven't had any buy-in to begin with for the first X number of movies they've been in? And only now are we starting to see some emotional connection between the two. So it seems like it comes off as weird. And then in this case, we've seen Loki a bunch of times. We know who that character is. And now that we're meeting other Lokis, we already inherently get them. So when we see like classic Loki, right? When we see Richard E. Grant triumph and you're just like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. You now like imbue that little bit onto like, variant Loki. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to see what that guy can do. I don't know. There's like a whole thing there that I'm sure someone who's like into film study would be able to tell us more about.
Right.
I based on what you were saying, I was like, yeah, I mean, I think you're right, but for some reason, I don't know that it's like how I felt. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, it gives us context, but it also the episode was really creatively put together in the sense that we see a handful of Lokis that are doing the same. And then we see these other creatures, essentially, that are supposed to be bound to that fate as well, but rise above. You know, like we see them all acting to their base human natures. It's established pretty quickly that these 4 are not like that. And that's what makes us immediately bond with them. It's kind of what makes us bond with Sylvie too, a little bit. Is like, we know what Loki, I do think it gives us more context, but I do think like him talking about how he did try to change his life. He did try to be better. He decided he deserved to be alone. He went and lived on a planet. And the second he tried to change that fate, like the timekeepers came in. It also just makes you feel sad for him, like pity, but also that he doesn't, I don't know how to describe it. It's just tragic. He's like a very tragic, almost Shakespearean character and played by a very strong actor.
Oh, he acted really the shit out of that. Yeah.
He really sells you on like how, and they just established that, like I said, this tragic backstory in like 3 minutes, and you're like, they do that one exposition dump where he talks about it, and you're just like, yeah, no, I'm invested. I need to see this man come up.
Right.
They got you invested in an alligator because you know this alligator's backstory already. You know this alligator was like, I'm the trickster gator. Like, it's incredible. The whole thing is incredible. And let me just say, to Richard E. Grant, what a great, like, I felt bad for this man that they threw him in the last Star Wars movie and like in a pointless role in a movie that sucked. And they're like, you know what, my dude?
We got you.
Let's show everyone how good you are. And I'm like so thrilled. Because you know, Richard Grant does a lot of stuff, but like giving him an audience to show like what a phenomenal actor he is, killed it.
Dude, he got his Gandalf moment. Like he truly got a Gandalf moment there at the end of the episode.
It was so good.
It was incredible. It was such a, like the amount of things that moment did in terms of like, it showed Tom Hiddleston Loki, like what he can actually do, like how powerful he could actually be. It told the audience like, okay, we're upping the power level of the MCU a little bit. Like we're going to start doing a little bit crazy shit. Now we could just remake all of Asgard down to the smallest entity and just conjure that up. Now that's the power level that we're at. And then it just made you care for that character immensely, right? I hope I hope in some form that wasn't the last that we see of him. It looked kind of finale. Like
all I'm saying is, we talked about this before. On IMDb, that man is in 3 episodes. He's credited for 2 so far. That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping we get a happy. I'm hoping Loki does a thing. We get a happy ending where we get to see like all the Lokis doing their own like perfect world vision kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I would be so happy with that.
Chad even brought it up as well. The idea of him just screaming glorious purpose was like, that alone just had so much weight to it of like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, he kind of takes the word back, because if we go back to episode 1, the word glorious purpose is almost used to mock Loki. Like, totally. Oh, look how stupid you are. Like, all you want to do is subjugate other people. All you want is power. That's your glorious purpose. You're pathetic. You're weak. And you know that on some level. And then by episode 5, Richard E. Grant, you know, King Loki almost successfully takes back that term. That's like, glorious purpose is like, it basically is saying like, I don't know, breaking the cycle, challenging authority. Things don't have to be the way they are. Sacrificing yourself in the name of or for the well-being of people you care about. Like the word glorious purpose almost does a full circle to where it's cool again. Like, you know, those words go out of certain phrases or slangs, like kind of go out of favor. Like it comes back around for them, where it's like, now Loki can say his signature line and not look like a chump.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It was a hell of a thing. And he did it all in like the stupidest outfit / best outfit as well. Right? Like he shows up on screen at the end of episode 4 and you're like, well, that looks pretty ridiculous. And then at the end of episode 5, you're like, well, that looks pretty ridiculous and that's awesome, right? Like I'm into that. I'm about that. It was great. I hope that is the, sorry, my cat and dog are going crazy right now. I hope that's the permanent outfit for Loki moving forward. It's not going to be. They're not going to change it. That's his outfit, but give me more classic Loki in the show.
I kind of liked that it was baggy.
Yeah,
It looked like pajamas. It was not form fitted, and it was baggy. It was saggy. I kind of love that.
It was lived in.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the whole like Renslayer kind of like vibe? That whole plot line with her being like, I need to find out who's in charge.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, that was like the least interesting aspect of the episode for me.
Oh, totally. You're absolutely right. That's why I asked it.
Like you ask it, and I kind of actually forgot that, like, oh, right, there's this whole TVA thing still happening in this show. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it depends. Like they're playing so fast and loose with like setting expectations in the show, then just demolishing them, and like, I don't know. You ask it, so you definitely have a thought about it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I have an idea of where it's going. Right?
Yeah.
Like it seems very obvious that she leaves to go find this end of time place that again almost is the Chrono Trigger end of time level. It is comical how like end of time it looks. But the idea of, I think she will probably be there and our two Lokis will be there. And then, Mobius will go back to TVA. And I feel like it's one of those things like by the time she gets back, it's gone. So she's like, I've got no choice and nowhere to go except with Kang. It's 100% Kang. It's going to be Kang, except probably Immortus, but it's going to be Kang in the end.
It could be
Immortus. It's happening. Yeah. I refuse to accept otherwise. It could be Immortus, and then they'll be like, but there's another guy, and his name is Kang. It's the exact same. Doesn't matter. It's going to be Kang. I'm convinced of this now more than ever. More than ever.
In that castle building, whatever. I think it's probably going to be He Who Remains, right? Like the last TVA agent at the end of time. But I think he's probably going to give you some exposition about Kang. And then Renslayer is going to end up like meeting Kang somehow, or Immortus, like you said. I truly believe that's where they're going, because like the second that I saw Eliath pop up, I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this. Let's go. Like there he is, right? They're just dropping Eliath in here right into it. And I think like Kang will be a post-credit thing, like a big reveal.
I don't even think they'll name Kang.
Yeah,
I just think they'll be like, there is this dude, and they'll describe him in a way that I'm sure comic fans will be like,
totally.
But I don't think they're gonna be like, and then Kang shows up and he's like, do you like my purple and green outfit? I don't think that's gonna happen.
We'll probably just see his face,
kind of like, balancing the blade.
Yeah,
like I also balance a blade, but differently.
I think Chad does make a lot of people think it's just going to be another Loki at the end of time, and like I hope that's not what they do. It's probably likely that's what they do, but I really hope it's not.
That was our initial theory way back when, that the TVA was run by a Loki.
Yeah.
But that also like. The weird thing is that just happened in a motion picture. Like, I don't want to spoil things, but that was the plot of a motion picture that happened in the last motion picture. That's right. It was a plot of a motion picture. See?
Those movie films,
Yeah. It happened in the last, year. Yeah. I don't want to spoil it, wink, but it happened recently. And I feel like that is, if that's the plot, it's kind of like, all right. I just saw that though.
Well,
like, all right.
The thing is, there are so many references to Kang throughout this entire show.
Yes.
And like that, when you go back to, it's so crazy because I feel like the MCU audience, sometimes is its worst enemy when it comes to like, oh my God, it's Mephisto. It's gotta be fucking Mephisto. They see all the shit that's like not actually there. They literally put a building in there that says QENG, right? Like on Stark Tower. That is a thing from the comics. There is a fucking Sphinx that exists. Like these aren't like, oh, there's 6 things here. It's like, no, this is a building that has gang written on. There's Sphinx. There's so many things.
Like literally, again, Kang is obsessed with like
his own stuff,
the past, the present,
yeah.
Like his preserving his own timeline is the whole point of his existence, but also trying to figure out a way out of it because, like, you know, he knows how his end comes. So like it's entirely, you know, even the idea of taking things and deleting them and then they end up in another place where it's like, well, that's the trash bin because that's not the real stuff. But over here in my collection are all the good things. It all makes sense. And if this isn't where we lead, I mean, Renslayer is literally a direct reference.
Right. There's so many things that lead to it, but it could all just be red herring shit. And we get a He Who Remains, and then Loki is there, and that's it. And it's just a Loki variant where it's Loki fighting Loki.
I will say, Marvel, now seeing the scenes from the trailers play out in the show, Marvel did a Marvel thing again. And where every time you see a trailer, a great example is go back, watch the first Avengers trailer.
Yeah.
And in that, there's the scene where like cars are just exploding for no reason. And then in the movie, it's because there's like literal ships blowing them up. And they just didn't include the CG elements. The same thing here, where in the trailer, you see a car driving like rapidly towards the Sphinx. And then in the episode, literally it's like tendrils are chasing the car that are not in that clip. So if you look at some of the scenes that are for clearly the next episode, when they're in the weird, creepy house with the gold veins, there's like a fight going on. There's like a cool little moment, and it looks like they're just there with no one. I don't know that that's true anymore. Right? They literally just take people out of scenes for trailers. So it's very clear that there's going to be something that we just are not expecting. And I'm very excited to hopefully not be let down.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll be let down if it's not Kang, because we already know he's going to be like, he exists, right? Like they have a literal actor.
I just hope it's an answer that like it makes sense in a way that isn't dumb. Like it doesn't end in a way where we're all doing the same thing we did after Falcon Winter Soldier. We're like, what was their terrorist plan? Why did they do that? Why did they fight? Like, okay, so the like deep undercover bad guy was the person we knew all along. There was no like, it was very obvious. Like there's a lot of that I hope we don't see in this show, where at the end we're just like, that wasn't very like, all right, it was fun, but it wasn't, fulfilling.
Yeah.
I already am wondering if we were overthinking the whole second agent thing, because it's very clear Renslayer has no clue what the hell is going on or who the heck is in charge. And yet we had this whole theory that like she was aware it was Kang and that was the other agent that she's not telling Mobius about. And then I remember floating the idea that maybe the other agent was Sylvie, but, because she was taken when she was young and trained at the TVA, then they mind wiped her. But then we found out, like, no, she's been on the run since she was young. I think I posed 2 theories. One was that she'd been running forever. One is that she'd worked at the TVA until she got her freedom papers somehow. But I'm already wondering if we were overthinking that whole, maybe it was just a throwaway, like she does it to make Mobius jealous. Or she's wiped his memory several fucking times.
I was about to say, can we get real weird?
I think there's a lot of memory wiping.
Mobius.
Yeah.
Maybe Mobius is the guy. She just keeps wiping his memory and just can't explain all the other things he's done for her. Obviously, that is something you can't just like throw in at the last episode and be like, that paid off well. But, who knows? It's like a fun little theory.
I don't want to go completely off the rails in the conspiracy theories, but let's go completely
on this
off
show.
The rails. And conspiracy theories. I saw someone, or at least an article, was claiming, and they had a lot of different reference, that Mobius is a variant of Howard Stark. Did you see this?
Saw it, hate it.
You don't like it?
Don't want it.
You don't like it?
No. Hate it. Hate it to the core of my being. I don't ever want to know that Howard Stark loves ski-doos.
Yeah.
Don't want to know that. I don't want to know that
I
fact.
don't like it either. I don't
want him to be like, come on, Tony. Like, I don't want, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. I don't think I'm into it as well. I remember seeing it there. I hope Mobius is just a dude. And there's no like grand reveal of who he was. I hope he's just like an Owen Wilson variant and that's it. Right. He's not even he's not even like a big character. He's just,
because other variants are big actors and this variant, is Mobius.
Yeah. He had a phenomenal, in saying so little, he had such an impact on the rest of the episode. Specifically like where he's sitting around the room talking to all the other Lokis, talking about the alligator Loki. He's like, oh yeah, he could be in it for the long con. Right. Like, and everyone's like, maybe.
I love
my
how the logic
theory
behind. Yes.
Oh no, go for it. Mine's a goof. Mine's a chat goof.
Mine's a goof too. I was just gonna say.
All right, goof off.
I like that their prime or one of the justifications for it being a Loki is that he's green.
Yes.
I thought that was so stupid, but so good. Like where they're like, well, yeah, he's a Loki. He's in green.
Who's the horns? Who put those horns on him? He did. Yeah.
It's real dumb.
Someone in chat said people were like, well, all right, well then how is Mobius a variant? And someone in chat said he's a Lightning McQueen, which is hilarious. I love the idea that in one reality he was just a human, and they were like, nope, that man is a car. Get his ass out of here. That is my new headcanon. That he's just, I was Lightning McQueen. Wow, I won a bunch of races. Yeah,
God.
That's it. From now on, it's all up here.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Wow. I wonder if he has a real name other than Mobius.
Lightning McQueen.
It's Lightning.
Is canonically his name in my mind.
It's Owen McQueen, I think is probably his name.
Wow. They call me Lightning.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about the episode was the God of Outcasts conversation when he says like, oh, because I like that they've been doing this more and more as they kind of unlock new powers for their different characters and kind of shift how they want to portray them narratively. I loved that in Ragnarok when it's like, are you Thor God of Hammers or are you Thor God of Lightning? I really like that because it marked a very pivotal moment where it's like, we're going to change how Thor works a little bit, where this we're going to heel turn a little bit here and see what Thor can really be instead of this idiot who throws around a hammer. And I feel like Loki got to have that moment, which was parallel to Thor's, where it's like, well, are you Loki God of Lies? Because it kind of feels like we're Loki God of Outcasts. And all we do is like tear each other apart and rip everybody down. And it was, I don't know, it was kind of interesting because it was like, to me, that mirror or that parallel was strong, where it was like, oh, Thor got to be bigger and better. And people have been dismissing Loki as a side character forever. I feel like this show very firmly set down a foot that was like, no, Loki is main character. Get used to it. And we're going to.
Yeah.
Bronze, once again, you've inspired greatness. You are my muse as always.
Am I your Loki? Do I exist for you to be the best version of yourself?
I mean, here's the thing. Much like classic Loki existed for our Loki to be the best version of himself. So that his glorious purpose, much like the Loki we know, because as we've been told by the TVA, Loki is like a guy who exists to make others better. That's his whole, that's who he's supposed to be, right? His crappiness makes others better. And in this case, confirming Loki is the main character, another Loki sacrifices himself for him to make him the main character of the story.
True.
Fulfilling his glorious purpose.
Yeah.
Bam!
It's true.
Which means we're also getting a Loki that's the best version of himself.
Yeah.
Like the Loki we're getting is on the backs of the sacrifice, or the back of the sacrifice of another Loki, and this is going to be the best version of himself. So, it's like I said, it's like Marvel's very firmly saying he's main character.
Yeah. Well, and
they're used to it.
They're leveling him up, right? Like there was in was it episode 3, he stops a fucking skyscraper from falling. Right? Like we've never seen Loki do anything.
Boy, am I still suspicious. I'm super sus.
I'm very suspicious because that moment. I don't know if that was just a graphical rendering, but the smoke definitely like goes back in on itself. It definitely
goes back inside of it. Yes.
That's a little weird. That was a little strange to see. But if we come out of this show and Loki is able to, do what classic Loki did on some form, he can also stop like skyscrapers from falling. He can also enchant people, or maybe they just let that be Enchantress's thing. Like that's a lot of like leveling up for old Loki.
Okay, so you think she's going to be Enchantress too? Because this is my theory. I think they're going to keep them both.
Yeah.
Yes. Same.
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep them both because why get rid of one of them? Because some people have been saying, well, Sylvie's going to be the new Loki. And I was like, well, Hiddleston has said he wants to do it. Hiddleston is perfect in that role.
They'll just be two characters, yeah.
Deserves to do that role. I think them even establishing this relationship with Sylvie is like, well, I think they're going to keep them both. And I think they're just going to call her Enchantress. That's going to be her name. Because she doesn't even like being called Loki. So they've already sown that seed. It's not like one has to give up their name. She doesn't even like it. And it also falls in line with because some people are going to be like, well, that's not the character from the comics. Yeah, but one of the versions of that character literally gets her powers just because Loki gives them to her. And I think this character just has more agency and is cooler.
Yeah. Well, plus it sets up for the joke in a world, in an MCU world where jokes are kind of half the point of all these movies. It sets up for the joke that, of course, the only person that Loki could fall in love with is himself, right? Like that's all they're going to joke about. But let me ask you guys this. Do you think they're going to make it like a romantic relationship between the two of them?
I thought it was made very clear in this past episode that their feelings were like, they transcended that, like the doing it vibe, and more like, you're the only person I trust you and I care about you. And it seemed like one of those like very good friend vibes.
That's
or
kind
like
of what I'm
almost
thinking.
Family vibes. Like that's what I got out of it. And even though they had like we're both under the blanket scene, it seemed very much like they're like a non-sexual soulmate situation. You know what I mean? Like they were perfect for each other because they are each other. And it isn't like, now we're going to smooch at the end. It was like, no, like we get each other on a level that it's like twins, that kind of vibe.
It's like
where they're like,
it's that twin love.
I think the two actors are very attractive and have good chemistry. So I think the audience is left kind of like being like, what? Which happens. But it's almost like a Scully and Mulder effect, a little bit, where you're just like, God, there's two such good looking people that work so well together. Why is Scully dating other people?
It would be like Skulder and Molly if they were somehow cousins.
Right? Yes, right? Yeah. Like they give those vibes on camera. The way I interpreted it was that earlier in one of the scenes, or I think like right before they're like underneath the blanket together, he says something like, I've betrayed everybody I've ever loved. And I feel like Loki, when he does truly love somebody, doesn't know what to do with that.
Sure.
And I think even now he has feelings for her. He likes her. This is the only person that he probably wouldn't betray, right? But I think like in class, it's almost like it felt to me like two D&D characters going on a date. That's what it felt like, where they're both like, I don't know how to navigate this. I have feelings. This is a little awkward and a little cute. And all the other players at the table are just there taking a short rest at the campfire with Mobius and an alligator. And that's what it felt like to me, where it's like two people that are like, I don't know what to do with this because I've never known what to do with this.
Yeah. I don't know where
I think
they'll
that's
take
like
it.
a universal. That's like a universal vibe, though. That if you ever meet someone that you're like truly into, you're so worried about like not screwing it up that you're like, oh boy, I'm screwing this up. Yeah, I think like everyone kind of gets that, and I don't know. Like the vibe I got clearly, like everyone else, I was like, oh, the thing, the like crazy, temporal thing is like, oh, these two Lokis fell in love. But I wonder if it's just like something as simple as like Loki learned to trust. Like that kind of like a very like children's book version. It's like, and he learned not to be a dick. The end. His heart grew 3 sizes that day. Like, I don't know.
We'll see. They might also just leave it open-ended and not answer what happens between the two of them. Or
he did ask her to like go on an advent. Like, when this is all over, do you want to like maybe hang out sometime? I've been there. Oh, Loki, I've been there. Lord, you want to like maybe go and get go get lunch maybe sometime?
Sounds like Kermit. Turn into a Kermit. Yeah.
Well, Kermit is green, so therefore true. Kermit could also be a Loki.
I think Kermit is also a Loki. Yeah.
Right.
Did you see?
Very almost classic Loki. They were this close to being the same.
Speaking of everything in that
Kirby
world, void, whatever, being a being a Loki. Did you see people trying to say that car was a Loki?
What?
Yeah, they were pushing for that car was a Loki.
What do you mean?
That the car was a Loki. It was a Loki car.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It was
what
a Loki
does that
car.
mean?
I didn't start this theory. I just saw theories. It was a Loki car.
What? You can't just say, hey,
are we lightning?
I didn't read past that. Is this a
Lightning McQueen thing again?
No, I didn't read past it because I was like, that's absurd.
Is this like an Owen Wilson, Hiddleston kind of thing?
Maybe.
Like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was because the license plate said GRN is green. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the license plate was GRN.
But the car itself was yellow, right?
It was a cab, yeah.
I thought it was a pizza truck. Didn't it have like a pizza thing on the top of it?
It had a pizza thing, yeah, in the top center. Someone in chat says the license plate is a reference to the writer of Loki.
The writer, Michael Waldron?
Yeah.
Or the writer of specific... Oh, the original writer. Oh, okay.
The license plate was GRN W1D, which is Grinwald.
Right, okay.
Which is, I guess, who Mobius is. Maybe modeled after or something. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. I don't know why that car was there. Thanos copter? Yes, the Thanos copter was.
Yeah, people who were asking about the Thanos copter. Look, the 60s were a wild time, y'all.
Should I just read the full? Maybe I should just read the full synopsis of the Thanos copter for everyone.
Should you let people know that one time Thanos was like, I'm going to rob a bank, see? Nah. Like, there was a time where Thanos was not well developed.
And doesn't he just drop the reality stone?
Yeah, the cosmic cube. It's not the reality stone, it's cosmic cube. They're different entities.
Yeah. He's like...
Yeah. The Thanos show the comic Thanos copter. If you can find a picture of Thanos in his copter, it's so funny.
It's real absurd. It's just a helicopter that says Thanos on it. Like, that's all.
And he's like hanging out the side, like too big for the helicopter. It is
it's
incredible.
Real stupid. Let me make sure this is going to work. Okay, great. Here's Thanos copter. It's real dumb.
How did he fit in there?
Even has like a solid cat joke.
Well, no, the reason there's a cat joke is because the Thanos copter was briefly used by Thanos to attack Hellcat while trying to obtain the cosmic cube, which she was currently holding.
Right. And of course, he didn't have his gauntlet and any of the Infinity Stones. So how else is he going to travel? He can't just warp places. Yeah. He needed a helicopter.
Yeah. There's also
can't fly.
It's true, he can't. There's also an alternate reality version.
Branded it.
Where
Why
Thanos,
did he brand it?
I don't know. I mean, how do you know it's a Thanos copter unless it has Thanos on the side of it?
Why does he need people to know that he has Thanos? That's just egotistical.
Imagine the body shop he went to getting that custom paint job, and he's like,
they're like, put Thanos on the side.
You want me to just like put it all up on the side? You got a font you want? Like, I'm imagining the Vulture. I'm imagining.
Like, are you sure you want it yellow? Like, I mean, I got plenty of colors. Like, a yellow helicopter does stand out. And I don't know, like, is it because it matches the armor? You sure you don't want blue or purple? Like, I got a million colors back here.
This is all a fictional story. I want to know the real story in the writer's room. It's like, let's give him a helicopter.
Oh, what do you mean? Story? In the writer's room?
Bob, what do you...
I don't know.
Bob, what do you mean?
I don't know what it could have been.
A Thanos. Yeah, just give him a helicopter and put Thanos on the side.
All right, so here's like, okay. Oh, so all right, Thanos. Okay, so Thanos has a helicopter. It's gonna be wild. That was the writer's room story.
Oh my god. There's also an alternate reality version in the Earth 616 Prime Marvel Universe where Thanos picked up Deadpool in the Thanos copter after he had hired the mercenary to steal the Cosmic Cube for him. So that's also another version that exists. That was in, where was that at? That was in Deadpool Volume 5, number 45.
Here's the thing. Deadpool makes perfect sense. If I was in Deadpool, I would have Thanos copter. But this is like actual, this was a comic where he showed up and he's like, hold on, I gotta watch out for power wires. Like, power lines are gonna get me if I don't. It was a different time. It was a different time.
We're on Thanos copter, but I just had tinfoil hat moment.
Oh God. Go on. I'm going to show another picture of a Thanos copter while you're doing this. So,
classic Loki talks about this way in which he was able to fool Thanos into thinking that he killed him, and then he retreated to another planet.
Yep.
What if that's an Easter egg that the OG Loki did as well? And now we just have two Lokis, and one of them has not gone through the character development that our Loki has gone through, so there's still a bad guy Loki.
Could be. I also took that a different way as, and they've done multiple. Also, I'm sorry. Thanos says, "It's me, Thanos," and he's in a copter that has Thanos on the side. That's just great writing. That's just hilarious comedic writing right there.
My favorite part is
I thought it was the other Mad Titan.
Yeah.
My favorite part is that he has to shout over the rotary blades. It's like, Deadpool! Hey, Deadpool, it's me! Over here, it's me, Thanos!
Oh, God. It's great. It's great. It's real dumb.
I like that he's waving.
Yeah. It's me, Thanos. Yeah.
Hey, bro.
It's real dumb. It's real dumb.
Oh, God.
He looks like he's here to pick him up from his mom's and take him to the roller skating rink. He does not look like he's here to kill Deadpool. He 100% looks like, hey, like he's pulled up outside on the curb, doesn't want to go inside and talk to Deadpool's mom. Come get in the copter. Let's go get pizza or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My mom said not to trust strangers. Sorry, Thanos.
There you go. There you go. Bronze, I took that moment when classic Loki was describing how he tricked even the Mad Titan, right? That he was dead. I took that as foreshadowing for how they're going to get Loki back into the actual MCU, because I think what happened in the MCU was the result of the current Loki from the TVA getting back into the MCU and tricking that Thanos into thinking that he actually killed him. And that's how they're going to move forward with it. But we've also, I mean, who knows? Maybe that version of Loki dies, and then Loki just appears afterwards and like, surprise, I didn't die, right? Like maybe that's how they handle that. I don't know. He's definitely going to be in that next Thor movies, so we'll just have to see. But there was a lot of things in this episode where you can start to apply them to the greater MCU world and start to think like, well, how's that going to work? How's that going to do?
Yeah. I mean, again, we've said it a million times. We'll say it again. Loki is currently alive in the movies, so Loki can show back up in the movies. This is like one of those prequel things where I'm not worried for Obi-Wan Kenobi because I know he's showing up in another movie in the future.
Yeah.
So technically Loki is alive. We all saw him getting out in Endgame. So the casual viewer, to them, they're like, oh, there's a Loki out there. So he can logically show up again in the next movies and be fine. So, yeah, I think, even though everyone's like, it's an online theory that Loki's going to, like, I feel like it's a pretty certain thing that we're going to see a Loki in a movie again, whatever Loki that might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking if the final Loki survived, it could be a villain.
Oh, yeah.
I hope that's not the villain that we're going to see in the next episode, but it felt very like.
I don't think so. I think that would kind of diminish his actions in a lot of ways.
It would suck.
Yeah.
It would friggin' suck.
Yeah.
But I had that thought just now where I was like, oh God, I hope they don't do that.
I think they're gonna go inside that building. It's gonna be He Who Remains. He's gonna drop some knowledge about the TVA and like someone trying to take over time and conquer time. And I don't know what the final scene is. I don't know what the behind this or the post-credit scene is. But I gotta think that Kang's gonna pop up somewhere. Right?
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
Do you think, just, for budget reasons, the reason why the last couple episodes have looked really good for Loki is because they're just reusing the Snoke like CG for He Who Remains? Because go look that character up. It looks like Snoke from Star Wars,
like
a dead ringer.
Oh yeah, this is just a long forgotten character that was used in another world.
Just Andy Serkis shows up, and it's like, well, yeah, obviously.
He was on screen and died for about 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. He had no character, no backstory. Now he gets one. You're welcome, everyone. I don't know. It's. I would also be a little disappointed if we got that, like the truth, like the whole well, there's an old ass guy and he has been here forever and he's the last person to witness the end of time. Like he exists to see the end.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know what that does as for the show to include that character, unless it's revealed that character is like the oldest living Loki. But even then, what kind of plan is that? Like, I'm so old, I wanted to stop all the Lokis from Lokiing for what? There's got to be a reason.
I don't think it's a Loki. I think it's just a dude.
But why prune Lokis? I don't. You know what? I don't care what the ending is as long as they just give us that answer.
Why prune Lokis?
Yes, as long as they just say
I think that answer already exists, though, right? Like,
does it?
Well, the
they
grand
said Loki survived,
but that's not an answer. That's like
they say it multiple times though. They're always like, "Oh, Loki survived." I feel like they're like pesky. They're annoying. They're impossible to get rid of.
Why is that annoyance on a grand design of a not just like a lifetime, but like a geological lifetime of like the universe, a galactic lifetime? Why at the end of existence is it so important to be like, thank God we got rid of those assholes?
Well,
why?
I don't think it's necessarily the fact that they're just pruning Lokis. I mean, they prune everyone for like the quote royal timeline or whatever. I think that it's Lokis that are getting pruned a lot more than other people. One, because that's kind of the focus of the show. And two, it's because it's the god of mischief who's like always fucking shit up. Right? Like he's always getting outside of his boundaries.
Like there's a lot, basically there's a lot of questions we need answers.
The answer to is why the one timeline? Exactly. Because like why is the timeline where the Avengers go back in time and all this crazy shit happens and people that clearly should be like variants are not variants? Why is that the case? Why is that the thing?
And the simplest answer is Kang, right? Because that's his whole thing.
Yeah.
Like his whole thing is to set up the perfect timeline for himself.
Right.
Which makes sense. But if they explain it another way, I hope it's a way that is enjoyable to, an audience as a whole, at least. And everyone's like, oh, you know what? Because let's be real, the last two shows have set up like, oh man, it's going to be real weird. I can't wait to see what happens. And then it was like, and Wanda discovered that she's stronger than she could imagine. And then it's like, and Sam discovered that he has the inner strength that is stronger than he could imagine. It like the payoff was like on a character level, like great. I'm so happy. Like that was fun.
It was cool.
Right? We got a great scene where two visions had like a debate off, which was fun. But like it wasn't.
You make it sound so stupid.
But here's the thing, I don't want it to be stupid in this show. Like I'm invested in this specific show in a way that I was not for the first two.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I need something good, or I'm gonna be that guy who was like, it wasn't even Mephisto. They gave us so many clues. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm letting you know
that you hate, right?
I'm gonna be that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. And we can kind of use this as somewhat of a jumping off point to go into Black Widow, but in a lot of ways, this most recent episode of Loki, and I guess kind of the season at large of Loki, like it's the type of weird that makes everything else boring and mundane. And so when I'm just seeing like two people fighting and throwing punches at people, I'm like, yeah, but wait, what if they just created like a copy of Asgard, and that's how they defeated this thing? Right? Like, what if they, jumped in a timeline and went back in time and then came back and it was like a kid Black Widow fighting a full grown like that'd be pretty funny and cool. Mm-hmm. Right? It's made everything mundane turn into a little boring in some ways with how crazy this has been.
Sure.
And it's definitely made me think that there's kind of this split in the MCU of, James Gunn kind of did it first, and I think Taika did it after that. And now you're starting to see it with Loki as well, of like, people are going weird, right? And then there's the other part of the MCU that's like, no, this is very much grounded in reality in a lot of ways.
Well, I think that's very smart on their behalf.
To have those two different types. Yeah.
Because the more grounded stuff remains grounded because it doesn't go too crazy, right? But the wacky intergalactic, interdimensional, when you give it a bit of humor, when you give it like it's way out there, so just get ready. We're gonna even be making fun of it.
The characters
in our own
even
show.
Say like, there's an alligator Loki. Okay, that's not the weirdest thing. I just believe that, right?
Yeah, and when you can set that up, you can then set up the viewer to be like, okay, I know what I'm in for, and then they more easily accept the utter nonsense of like, well, we're going to brain hack a giant cloud dog and open a portal to the end of time. Like when you think about it, that's nonsense. It's utter, but you sit there the entire time like, they did it. Oh shit, I can't wait to see what this is. Right? And you like buy in, and here we are being like, that was the best damn episode of the entire thing. That was so cool. And it is also the most ludicrous, nonsensical, insane stuff Marvel's ever done.
Yeah.
And I that's how they sell it to you. And I think that's the same way with Guardians being able, he's a planet, he's a planet that rides on the back of a ship like some sort of bucking bronco. That's right. And they can sell that idea to people. And they make it cool and fun that a man whistles and murders with his whistle arrow, right? Like they can sell insane ideas by making it goofy. And you can sell the idea of like, well, of course a giant fire giant's going to blow up an entire island planet because, this is, and then you have to like bring it back down to Earth where it's like, yeah, well, okay, so there's still Earth stuff. And there, Earth got Earth problems, and all these superheroes that can like shatter universes got other problems that are a little bit bigger than like, my name is Boris Bad Guy, and I have made a bunch of bad people, and you better watch out, America. Right? Like on a galactic scale, who cares?
Right.
But thankfully, there's like, don't worry, we have no powers, team, and we're here to help. And that's it's fun too.
It's all right. Yeah. I someone mentioned Doctor Strange. I think in some way he's also the kind of glue that bridges those two worlds, right? Like Doctor Strange can bring the normals to the craziness and can also bring the craziness to the normals, right? Yeah. So it's an interesting thing to think about. But we didn't mention him, by the way. Kid Loki, Are we on board? Everyone on board? Kid Loki wants to see more Kid Loki? Yeah. Okay, good.
I like Kid Loki.
Yeah. They kind of dropped the whole like, I killed Thor. Then they were just like, oh. And then that's it. They didn't really like expand on that whatsoever. But I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I like how that's enough to make him king.
Those three things alone, like I killed Thor. Oh, well, okay. This is the king.
All right. Yeah. I guess you should just be the leader then.
Yeah. Also, what was the sword that he gave him? Is that like a classical Loki sword that he handed him at the end, or is that just a normal flaming sword that was like, here's a flaming sword? Is that supposed to, like, I'd never seen a reference to that in the comic or anything. Do you guys have any idea what that was?
I've only seen a reference to a flaming sword in like Doctor Strange, so I don't know if it's going to be something that, like an artifact they're going to pull from something else, but yeah.
People are saying it's Loki's classic sword in
like actual mythology or in like comic mythology.
Oh, I thought someone just like typoed. No, it's actually called Levitian. I guess is how you would pronounce that.
Is it Leviathan?
Leviathan?
Like Leviathan, maybe?
Maybe. Let's see. It's possibly Loki's most powerful weapon. It's already shown in blah, 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 blah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is 100%.
Leviathan.
It is. Yeah, it is Kid Loki's, like, it's in the comics, his little blade. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
They had it in Loki, Agent of Asgard.
That's what I'm looking at right now, yeah.
He gets it from this other mythical warrior, but I don't think it does anything particularly special. Like, I'm pretty sure it's just, I'm trying to remember.
This
Lavatine? Lava, I gotta know how to pronounce this. Like, Lavatane? It doesn't matter.
This article says the blade proves capable of cutting through almost anything save Mew Mew itself, and Loki can phase it onto a different dimension so that Thor cannot shatter its metal. He even uses the blade as a spell casting focus, casting his magic through it as a callback to its possible interpretation as a wand. The use is especially fitting for a spellcaster such as Loki. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Norse legend tells of the blade's role in slaying the monster. Oh God. The monstrous rooster Viopnir, I guess. There's a monstrous rooster named Viopnir, apparently. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I guess we'll see.
Oh yeah, wow! It says that
it's the Cockslayer. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, but it says that it could be some sort of projectile weapon, a sword, a wand, like basically based on translation. And so, yeah. Oh, interesting. So yeah, I mean, I guess comically, and the Marvel universe, it's pretty accurate for what it is.
Yeah. Apparently, in Old Norse, it means damage twig. That's what
that is. That is Norse as hell.
It's the damage twig.
Bring out the damage twig.
beat stick.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
The old beat stick. Yeah.
Get me my damage twig.
Right.
It was a very Harry Potter moment, by the way.
Yes.
That scene where he like thrusts his sword and it catches on fire. I was like, that's a Harry Potter shot, is what that is.
When they were driving the goddamn car in the middle of the like moss field, I was like, is Harry Potter driving this car? Like, what the hell? What is happening? Is there about to be a giant tree they're gonna have to like deal with here in a second? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think it was the color grading.
Yes, it was the color grading. 100%.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct. Yeah.
But he does still have that weapon.
He
Moving
does.
forward, he still has it.
Yeah. Well, he used it to get Elias's attention when he like lit it in flame. Yeah.
But he still got, that's one of those like thrust it into the heart of the villain kind of. It's gonna be great. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it too, Agent of Asgard is kind of like the twist of Loki where he's trying to do good. There's like an all mother or something like that. I'm trying to remember. And he's like trying to basically clean up his act in order to get his actual body back, I think is what it is. Cause he's like in this younger body. And then, a hilarity ensues as he comes back to Midgard and everyone hates Loki and he navigates that. But the important thing to note here is in the comics, he gets it when he's on a trajectory to become better. And it's like going from a backstabbing weapon, from a weapon of treachery, where they've literally brought up like how he stabs people in the back, how everybody he's met, he stabbed in the back, going from a dagger to a heroic weapon like a sword. I think imagery wise, like it's definitely a sort of like a transition in the MCU, in my opinion, where they're like, this isn't going to be the backstabby, slimy character that we've seen in the past. He has a flaming sword now. He's kind of heroic in a lot of ways. So there's like some nonverbal storytelling happening there as well, I think.
Mm-hmm. I'm very excited for whenever Thor sees Loki again. And he's got like
a girlfriend and a flaming sword.
He's dating himself and he's got a flaming sword and Thor's just going to say something real stupid. And it's going to be a great interaction between the two of them. I'm very excited for whenever that happens. The last thing here is this random, but before we move on, have you seen this theory that I think started on the old TikTok regarding the Infinity Stones? So they go to state that the Infinity Stones are influencing and are inspiring kind of the storytelling in each episode. It's pretty well thought out in the sense of, if you think of the color grading so far of the episodes, the first episode was the Soul Stone. The entirety of the TVA is tinged with an orange, and Loki goes through a checkpoint that would obliterate him if he didn't have a soul. Episode 2, the Reality Stone, when Sylvia appears, the lighting shifts to a stark red, just like the color of the stone. In that moment, Loki questions his own reality as well as the reality where Sylvia is coming from. Episode 3, the Power Stone, when Loki and Sylvia are on Lamentus, they are surrounded by purple tones. This is the episode where Loki and Sylvia discuss and display their various powers while coping with being powerless to the TVA and the apocalypse. Episode 4 is the Mind Stone. Has a lot of gold tones, and it's the episode where Mobius and Hunter B-15 come face to face with the mind control and brainwashing the TVA has put them through. Episode 5 was a bluish tinge, which would signify the Space Stone, as it depicts Loki's transportation through an alternate New York in the few shots.
Interesting.
And everything, leaving the Time Stone for the finale.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Interesting.
I don't know what that means, though, because unless it's just like, oh, yeah, they're inspiring of this. But it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know the why. I like the setup, but I don't know the why. Right?
Maybe there is no why. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Maybe it's just a coincidence. That's just how they decided to theme it.
Yeah. I mean, that could very well be it. Mostly because, Loki was killed by the Infinity Gauntlet, being choked out by it. So maybe I don't know. I have no clue. Who knows?
I also feel like if you're a robot and you get destroyed, then I feel like that's a very weak connection to soul, whereas the other setups make a lot more sense narratively.
Right. There's some weak threads in there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That would be kind of wild if they somehow rope all that into a big thing. They got a lot to do this next episode and this final episode. They got a lot to cover. They're going to have a giant exposition dump, probably with whoever lives in the castle. Probably going to be He Who Remains. But then at some point, they have to introduce a villain, right? Is the villain the TVA still? They're kind of in a couple ways just leaving the TVA behind by going to wherever this is and sending Mobius to go like dismantle it, right? So I don't know what the next episode does in terms of where we leave it. Do they just give a TemPad to Loki and Sylvie and they're like, all right, we're going to go peruse time and see what happens. And they just pop up on the rest of the MCU. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, that could be something because Sylvie specifically says, I don't know. She's like, I've never had family. All I've done my entire life is run.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do at the end of time. And he's like, well, maybe we'll figure it out together. I feel like it's going to end with them like being able to manipulate the timeline somehow or being able to look on the whole timeline. And I feel like he's going to say like, well, you know, like, let's figure it out together. And I think that's where it's going to end. That's my theory. That's also where my heart is. That's where my heart is.
Well, let's do theories then for what this final episode does. Jesse, the big brain theory is coming together. I can see
I'm trying to think. Did we get the scene where Loki isn't like from the trailer where Loki's in Asgard and he like stands up and there's a whole audience before him? Have we seen that in this show so far?
No. Which is it could be one of those scenes that they just throw in the trailer to like mislead the audience. It could also be the thing where there's missing other aspects of it. It could also like maybe instead of Loki standing up there, maybe that's Kang standing up.
Maybe it could easily just be like one of those like temptation vibes of like,
you could do this
if you just if you let me not, if you don't kill me, this can all be yours. And you know, one of those like, I'm in your head now, you big idiots. I don't know. Or
you know what my theory is? You know how they throw him into that time loop to soften him up? What if they throw him into that time loop to like kind of reprogram him? Like he's made all of this process, like all of this growth, all of this, you know, even that entire conversation with Sif where he's like, yeah, I know I'm going to die alone. And he goes through all this character growth. What if they put him, somebody, maybe even if it's Renslayer, because we know she's going to be there for the last episode, puts him in a brief time loop where he's sees everything he could have if he complies.
Could be.
Because it definitely feels like a TemPad type of thing, like a loop-de-loop.
I mean, he could say like, hey, what if your mom doesn't die? What if your dad doesn't die? What if you don't die? I'll tell you how to do all that. I'll tell you on the timeline what to do. If you just...
Can I blow your mind? Can I really mess your heads up?
All right, let's do it. Then we're going to move on to Black Widow.
It's Richard E. Grant.
What, at the end of all of it?
100%. Even though I want it to be Kang, what if it's old Loki?
That's what Bronze is saying, yeah.
But I mean, like it literally, that like, it is that character. Like, exactly that character. Not sure how. I don't know why. But, like, it is 100% just old Loki, who is credited for being in 3 episodes. It would make sense if that, because there's an old Loki who survived and then he got screwed up, there's another old Loki. And so we get to see Richard E. Grant just be evil now. And we get to see his backstory of why, like, instead of running and hiding, his thing was, I lived and I'm going to like change my fate because I'm tired of, you know, I don't know. I have no clue. Like,
so you're saying that the scene that we have seen in the trailers that has not shown up yet of Loki standing up in the gold room is Richard E. Grant character as a different Loki who grew old because he succeeded and got everything he wanted. And now he's the last living person at the end of time because he conquered the universe or something like that.
Lokis don't die. He conquered everything. He won everything. And now he's there at the end of time. And he's like, you know, just a bitter ass because he won everything. But in the end, like, what did he win? Like that kind of, I don't know. And why hire a new actor to play that character?
Yeah.
It's not as crazy as you think because that is the big plot line in Agent of Asgard. He's fighting against this person. He doesn't know who it is. And at the end, it's him. It's classic Loki. And he's so much more powerful than this Loki is. So
right.
That's not it's not impossible, especially given how we've seen how powerful this character is, how cool he is, how cool he can be, rather. I think like that it wouldn't be horrible.
I don't think it's the same character. I just think it's the same actor playing a different Loki.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like but it's one of those things where you as the audience get to see an old Loki who's kind of goofy and he's kind of like, and he's like a fan favorite, and then the next episode it's like, oh, this is what the real version of it, the one who like didn't spend a lifetime alone. This is the one who got everything. This is like the Loki who got everything he ever wanted.
Liz Loki Prime.
Yeah, this is like he's terrible. Like he's a terrible person, and
could be.
This is like what happens when Loki is the main character from the start and has no, that kind of vibe where it's like he didn't have to go through anything. He just won constantly, and he always got to live. And so now he's like, he runs the TVA, and the reason why it probably is one of those things where it's like, well, yeah, I made the TVA so I could win and I could control time and control everyone. And like that's the easiest win of all, is to like.
Well, and this is also the timeline where Thanos gets nuked. Is the timeline they're trying to preserve, right?
Right, where Thanos dies because he couldn't do that himself, etc. Which is that's a Kang story as well. That like he couldn't actually fight Thanos, so he got the Avengers to do it, type deal.
Yeah, and that's why you would allow the Avengers to go through time and like do their time heist, because you're like, well, it's a perfect Loki plan. The idea of like, well, everyone thinks I'm dead. They saw me die. And then I just allow the Avengers to kill the guy before it happens. And then I get to continue being in the background doing my shenaniganry while all of them are like, not knowing that I'm here. And I get to slowly rule the cosmos. Like it's a perfect plan. And that's why a Loki stealing the Tesseract is like, oh, that guy. Get that guy.
So then, with all that said, is the post-credit scene a Kang in the year 3000 putting on some weird fucking outfit and like walking out the door, and he's not necessarily like bad Kang yet?
I mean, God, look, I want Kang, but like I'll take an evil Loki, but like also it doesn't. I mean, as long as
I'm okay with either way. I'm just saying, like, what's post-credit?
Boy, I don't know. Probably Renslayer having nothing, like imagining like her world has collapsed and the TVA's gone, and she's just
Renslayer becomes Kang.
They just merged.
I don't know that I mean, that would be weird.
Jonathan Majors. Yeah.
If she turns into Jonathan Majors, she's like,
yes,
enough.
Yes.
She rips off her like digital mask thing from Black
Widow. Yeah,
of course, because everyone can.
yeah.
Black Widow spoilers, guys. We're not there yet.
Oh yeah, where Thanos reveals himself to be Black Widow the entire time. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. What about second
She'll
season?
Like, I was
about
Kang
sacrifice.
all along, and she sings a song about how she was Kang all along.
Right? Yeah.
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 And everyone's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Called it."
It's true. I'd be into it. Well, we'll see. That airs
Don't
on.
Like that face, Jesse.
I mean, it was a proud face. A face like, what a great idea.
I'm just what ifing, like the show.
We'll discuss episode number 6 next Monday, the final episode of Loki, and where that's going to go.
I have to watch it.
I know.
No.
I'm very upset that it's over.
No.
Or soon to be over. But the final episode should be good. I hope we keep it weird. I hope that's the direction for that.
There has to be more.
Let's talk Black Widow.
I'm gonna cry when it's done.
I know we're about to disagree on this, but I'm really excited to talk to you about it.
Oh, I feel like I felt very differently about the movie than y'all did.
I mean, I'm just talking about like the difference between TV shows and movies. Like I had an epiphany about this film that I'm pretty sure it isn't really an epiphany, but like I'll start.
Realization.
Black Widow, hey, if you haven't seen it yet, and you don't wanna like deal with us.
We're spoiling.
Probably.
We'll see y'all later. See y'all next week. Have a good time.
Yeah, we're spoiling.
Or just mute us and keep watching. Wink.
Like and subscribe and check us out where all podcasts are available.
There you go.
And YouTube when you do watch it.
That's true. Great. Jesse, your epiphany.
Yes. Here's my epiphany. I think I enjoyed this movie more. Not saying that I loved it, but I think I enjoyed this movie more than I would have if it was a TV show. I think because most of the Marvel properties that are TV shows, except for WandaVision, which was designed to be TV, if we look at Falcon, Winter Soldier, because it was cut up into episodes, I think it plotted along at points. And if this was a TV show, I know that would have been the same thing, and I would have been I don't know. But because it was a movie and because it was let's go, keep moving, I was engaged the entire time.
Sure.
Even when it got went from being kind of Winter Soldiery to now we are in a flying, now we're in a flying fortress in the sky kind of vibes, and you're all right, we're off the map here. But I if I had to give a summary of how I felt the entire time watching this movie, it was boy, Florence Pugh is great. That's it. That's my summary. That's my whole summary of the movie. I was the entire time I was I would just more of this character.
Sure.
And then the other family members, and I'm kind of over Scarlett Johansson. I love a good ScarJo. Love a good ScarJo, but I'm kind of all right, this was a nice send-off, but I'm over it.
I think this movie was designed to do exactly what you just said. It was it was to give her a send-off, give her a movie, which is kind of fucked up, to be honest, that hey, here's your final movie. By the way, it's not going to really be about you, but it kind of will be about you, but not really. Right.
Right.
But it was the type of thing where it's this is more. Whoa. Sorry, everything.
Yeah, it was a little blowout.
How are we still online?
You got hacked, man.
Yes.
You're about to become a sleeper agent.
That was sorry, the power blipped. Ears just popped. That was
we all heard.
Loud.
Oh, we all heard.
We all heard. I'm a little bit shocked right now that just happened. Anyways.
No, it's rattling.
Yeah. Is everything good? Does it sound fine?
Yes.
Are we still live? Okay.
I think, yeah, it looks good. I've got your stream open. It looks good.
The generator kicked on. That was crazy. Anyways, I have no idea what I was saying at that point. And now
you were
here's
saying that it seems, or it kind of sucks that her final send-off was not her story, but
yeah. Right. Yeah, the movie was all right. But I definitely don't think I feel in so many ways that it came out at the wrong time. Right? This movie was delayed so long.
Yes.
That it came out at the worst time possible.
There's a lot about this movie that there's the plot is all over the place. The villain is non-existent. The Black Widows as an organization where they're we run the world. Do you? Because no one seems to care about you.
Yeah.
A lot. If anything, this was a vehicle, like you were saying, to introduce us to 3 new characters that I actually kind of want to know more about. I want to hang out with them more than I give a damn about anything else in this movie. I would have been fine if it was and then they went on vacation and actually didn't kill anyone and just had a family meal, but it was awkward. That would have been much more entertaining for me than the last 30 minutes of this film.
Sure.
What to me is hilarious is I thought I was going to disagree with y'all a lot because you were saying, oh, it's the best Marvel movie ever. And now I'm realizing you were being sarcastic.
Oh, I didn't. I guess Jesse said that. I
didn't say none of that.
Oh.
Am I crazy? They were saying oh, best Marvel.
We were talking about Loki.
Yeah, we were talking about Loki.
Oh my God. I thought you were talking about Black Widow. And that's why I was
no, we were talking about
I'm
Loki.
Gonna have some takes for y'all today. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were talking about Loki.
Black Widow
so
is it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
I've got a few gripes with the film, but
I don't think it was
I think
bad.
I have an overall gripe with I never felt like they did a very good job writing Black Widow or getting us to care about her to begin with.
Well, she started off as this weird sex symbol in Iron Man.
Yeah.
So from the very get-go.
It was
Sorry to interrupt.
very weird. but then I felt they did an even worse job with Hawkeye. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion.
He's got a series. That's fine. He'll get redeemed.
I think, like, for me, one of the things, and I'm sorry to take it here, but I have to, is I get really sick and tired of them recycling any actress over the age of 35 and replacing them with a younger model, because they've been doing that in the comic books for years, and it's really frustrating.
Sure.
Because you have older guys. How old is Hids? Tom Hiddleston's a lot older, but like it feels
Richard
like
E.
with
Grant.
the actresses, yeah. But to me, and I get, I know someone's probably going to call me an SJW or whatever, but it does. I liked seeing Hela. I like sometimes seeing older actresses in really cool roles. So I'm just like, why didn't we get rid of Jeremy Renner? Why did we get rid of her? And I'm saying this as not a Scarlett Johansson fan.
Right.
I've said in the past, I think her acting's wooden. I just couldn't get invested in her character. I'm just saying, but it's like, I still think she's better than him. Sorry, just my opinion. I still think the Widow character's better than that schmuck.
I think you're absolutely right in that, Hawkeye as a character in general is like, these are two characters in a universe of people that can do amazing things that are like incredibly boring compared, and they're not well written and they aren't well developed. And the fact that there is a Hawkeye show, the fact that the bonus scene at the end of this is like, and Hawkeye, I was like, oh my God, I do not care. Like this is a plot line that I do not care about.
Oh, that was the one thing I cared about because it's going to lead into the show, and I'm excited for the show.
Well, if we put everything else in a vacuum, I'm gonna be that guy. If we put it all in a vacuum, I think
like a sous vide bag.
Scarlett Johansson, yeah, and we let that thing like cook for a long time, and then we grill it up later with like the grill mark things.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But like, if we do that to Scarlett Johansson's character, I think when I've seen her and stuff that I've been like, wow, she can act, like she can do a great job. And I think that like with this character, they just from the get go, like JP was talking about, they didn't know where to take her. She was that like sexy lady who was like, ooh, I'm gonna seduce this guy, and then they like kept trying to change her character and add stuff to it, and then like, is she gonna bang the Hulk? I don't know. That went nowhere, and they never really had her do anything. And I think it is wise from a story standpoint to be like, well, that character's gone. Let's introduce someone new and not have them be a mess from the beginning. And I think Florence Pugh's character, when she showed up, from the minute she showed up, I was like, I love this character. I love that. Like, I love everything about her. I want to see more of her moving forward. I want to see her, this character, this like sassy, takes no shit from anybody character, like deal with other Avengers. I want to see all that stuff happen. And I've never had that
but
thought.
She's green. Wouldn't it have been cooler if it was Melina?
I think
like
she's
in a
still
Marvel
there,
what if scenario, like if we're gonna have a new Widow, do we want someone green who's like doesn't have the experience with the Avengers? Do we want somebody that's like light years ahead?
I think that's
like
what they're going for, though, right? I think the idea of Young Avengers is they're going to be like a bunch of green people.
Well, right? I don't know if it's going to be Young Avengers. I think it's
probably Thunderbolts, but like,
yeah.
But even then, Thunderbolts like a bunch of assholes who are like, not the best heroes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree with I would, if we're talking of like, if she gets thrown into the next Avengers, it will be really silly, right?
Yeah, she doesn't fit.
She definitely, but
who are the Avengers?
This.
Like there aren't, what is the Avengers right now?
The Avengers are fucked. Yeah, there
is no Avengers. Or is it going to be like an Avengers movie?
Right, you're right. I think if anything, it'll be a Thunderbolts movie is like maybe the first big thing. But I think if you put U.S. Agent and Melina together, that's pretty funny. Like I'd watch the shit out of those two in a scene together.
I would yeah, hell yes.
That'd be real stupid.
And I feel like if we are based off what's going on, I would imagine the Hawkeye series, the way that's going to make that watchable and entertaining for me at least, is that the Thunderbolts will be like out to get him? ?
Could be,
right? Like,
well, it's
seems to be the
Bishop
setup.
is also will probably be the star of that show.
Look, what if they kill him off in the first episode and then it's Kate Bishop the rest of the way?
Maybe.
Just putting it out there.
That would be kind of dope, but I don't think they'd do it.
Jeremy Renner literally wanted his character to die. He literally is
he's a trash fire.
He wanted to sacrifice his character 1,000,000 times. Just saying, give the man what he wants. Let him go out in a way that is like walking down the street and I just got shot. And then it's like moving on to another one.
It would be a little bit of a... It would set the tone for the Thunderbolts just straight up killing Hawkeye in the first episode of that. But the goal of that show is to train Kate Bishop, and I don't think you could do that in a single episode. Right? I think maybe that's like an end of the season type deal, potentially. But then you just have Kate Bishop and Yelena just like hating each other for the entirety of their
great
the next like 5 or 6 movies, right?
Conflict is interesting.
Yeah.
Especially like, I mean, think about it. Hawkeye and Black Widow were like best friends to the point where like they literally tried to kill themselves to save the other, right? And then to have Black Widow Jr. and Hawkeye Jr. be mortal enemies, that's good. That's good. That's a good ass story right there. I'd watch that.
Sure.
I'd like that'd be incredibly fun.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Here's another thing too that about the movie that I thought was, you know, if you think about where we're going with phase 4 and these ideas of different groups and kind of different, if you think of like Wakanda as a entity, a group, or really you think of the Dora Milaje or whatever as a group, there's now like a shit ton of Black Widows out there that kind of have a prerogative of going and making sure that other Black Widows are like, whatever the serum to like remove their mind control bullshit, but they're going to be doing something, right?
Like they're sidelined, right? They purposefully...
I think you're going to see them potentially come up and like, maybe they're working for Valentina. Maybe that's a power group right there.
But I feel like they set up in this film the whole idea of like getting the chip that had all of the locations, that map when he was like, look at my evil plan. I'm going to explain to you because you can't kill me. Yeah. Like that whole scene where it was like, and like there's a billion little blips. I feel like that's enough to keep them occupied on the sidelines that we as an audience can be like, oh, they're out there doing stuff, but their objective is to like free all of these women from whatever they're caught up in, and that's going to keep them out of the picture for a while,
potentially,
in a way that like they exist, and if one or two are like in an episode in the background, or like they show up and do kind of what the Dora Milaje did, maybe. But if anything, this is just to be like, okay, so for the next few years or whatever, this is where these characters are going to be.
They're 100% going to show up in whatever the fuck it was called that happened in. What's the place starts with an M that was in Falcon, Winter Soldier, the like
Madripoor.
Yeah, they're 100% going to be involved in Madripoor.
Wait, Chad's totally right. But that was 5 years ago before a snap. So that snap is very complicated. What a so that was before.
Oh, it's not complicated at all.
Most of them vanished.
Yeah, no.
And then they came back.
The snap is whatever is most coincidental and gives Marvel the easiest out. So like Yelena, Alexei, Melina, all those guys were, because Black Widow says I don't have a family anymore, so they were definitely snapped. Like they're all gone.
So
in the snap, but now they're back because she didn't age at all as well in that post-credit scene. But anyways, Bronze, I know you're going to say something.
I know, like we're saying, like, oh, well, there's all these widows, and they're all so effective at what they do. I didn't believe for a second that they could topple regimes because they completely destroyed the whole point of that character, which is like their, subterfuge, espionage masterminds. Yeah. Be like that entire scene where she's like, holding on to the girl, and she stabs into her thing, falls to the floor, and then like tries to shoot her. I was like, wouldn't a master spy have allowed like Scarlett Johansson's character to save her and then slit her throat? Isn't that they're like putting the chip in their head renders them like basically idiots? They're all fucking idiots. Am I wrong, chat? They're like they're not even fucking functional anymore because they're like, must follow directive, and they can't like, and that's why Scarlett Johansson's character, that's why the Black Widow character can outmaneuver and outthink all of them, because they all have this stupid chip in their head and they're brain dead.
Well, it wasn't
like she literally is holding on, and she stabs Black Widow's hand so she can fall to her basically death, break her back, break her leg. And then even then, she's like, let me help you. She's like, no, directive. And I'm like, you're a terrible spy. You're awful.
Only the Taskmaster had the chip. Everyone else was controlled through this weird bullshit.
Yeah, I felt like during that scene, what we were getting is she grabbed on, and Scarlett Johansson was like holding on to her. She's like, hold on. And then the dude was like trying to stab her, which is why at the end he shoots her. Like he makes her shoot herself. Because he was controlling her the entire.
That's what I'm saying. It renders them as agents just shitty. Like, how can you reasonably believe that they can topple regimes and they're masters of embedding themselves when they have an idiot at the control holding the controller? Like, just because you're playing you're playing the God of War, you're playing Kratos. If you put that controller in the hands of a freaking noob, that guy sucks too. Like, to me, it just felt like it reinforced why Natasha.
There were a lot of dumb decisions in this movie.
Than that.
I will say that the worst thing.
There was a lot of dumb decisions.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Bronze. But the worst thing this movie did was
Yes,
that's atrocious. That's atrocious.
I've been waiting. Why? Why Marvel?
I don't mind that the origin of who I say he because it's in the comics, it's Tasman, who she is, but fuck, man. That character is awesome. And it was like, okay. All right. I guess that's a cool reveal. Like, does that character pop up again? She doesn't have a drive to do anything bad or to hate the event or any I don't know.
I think a lot of people are saying it totally accurately. It's very Deadpool in Wolverine.
Yes.
Vibes.
Yes, 100%.
Where it's like, yeah, we included this character and then didn't understand the character at all.
Yeah.
Or we did in a way that we compromised who the character was so that we could do something different for the sake of doing something different. And it's just like
they did him dirty.
Even like the very first time Taskmaster showed up, I was like, oh, interesting. That fight on the bridge, I was like, awesome. Oh, this is neat. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is really cool. From that point on, none of it mattered. From that point on, Taskmaster was.
You mean the point where they revealed it? Who she was?
No, I mean like after that first fight scene, when Taskmaster shows up and shoots the air, from like the point where Taskmaster's like shoots the arrow under the car to like the rest of it was just like whatever.
The bridge scene was cool, but yeah, the rest of it was a little lackluster.
Yeah, I thought it was all fine until the reveal of who she was. And then I was just like...
but I mean, like, Taskmaster is supposed to be, like, very threatening. And that first scene is like, she cannot beat this guy. In fact, she loses on purpose. That's how she defeats him. And then the rest of the time, it was just like, I'm chasing you. I'm never going to catch up, but I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was very much like
he doesn't run; he just walks, which feels weird.
There's a little Resident Evil remake, right? Of Mr. X, just kind of like you're fucked.
Well, and I did the cardinal sin where I write a cool thing in my head. So okay, let me give you some background.
All right, here we go.
And this is why I hate that I have comics knowledge, because then sometimes you make some cool things up, and then I don't know. My alternate ending is kind of interesting.
Mephisto.
Yeah. So in the comics, Taskmaster is a character that has basically photographic memory. He can perfectly replicate things that he sees, including like diving, even voices, right? So he's really good at it. And then at some point he injects himself with this bootleg version of the super soldier serum that overloads that ability. And at the cost of him, he has memory issues. And he has this girlfriend, Mercedes, and she's kind of his handler and his memory bank and all these things, and kind of helps keep him on track. But he can like mirror people as they're doing stuff. He'll follow what they're doing and incorporate into his fight style. So he's kind of cool. Just a little bit of background. So when they did the whole like putting the mask on and he's sitting there watching videos of footage, that is very Taskmaster.
Yes.
That's literally what he does.
Yeah.
And when they put the helmet on and the hands go smile and that whole thing, I was like, this is Mercedes. And in my mind, I was like, what if Melina is Mercedes? And at the end of this movie, it's going to be that she took down Dreykov because she wanted out, or she wanted to do her own thing. And she's going to betray everyone and be like, nah, this is my husbando. You're old and tubby and I don't like you anymore, Red Dawn or whatever your name is. I've always been with Taskmaster. And I thought it was going to be like the debate within the debate within the debate, like the double cross within the double cross. Like, you thought I was double crossing you, but really I was working with you. But really I was double crossing you because the Taskmaster is my beau or whatever. And instead the Taskmaster was Dreykov's daughter. And I was like,
well, and they also, I like what you said much better because it ends up not being his daughter, but they also basically took that entire character and boiled it down to, oh yeah, this character exists because of a computer chip. That's the entire reason that they can do this.
Yeah.
I hope, I don't know. I hope that character gets like redone.
Like they needed to do it where it was like, well, I had to put this chip in her. Otherwise she wasn't going to survive. That was my take where I was like, did they have to do this to her so she would survive?
That's what's weird is I thought the same thing. I thought that basically she was a zombie because she died in the explosion and he didn't want to let her die. So he made her into like a robot. And that was like version 1 of his weird thing that he was doing. But then at the end, she's like, I'm a little busted up, but I'm fine. I just want to go with you guys. And it's just like, wait, so she's fine?
Yeah.
And she's going to be like, okay. Like that's,
I thought when they neutralized the chip or whatever that she would stop breathing because I was like, maybe she needs to be told to breathe. Like I thought like the trauma from the explosion was like she needs this mind control to tell her to breathe and to regulate her bodily functions. And if they neutralize it, she'll die. And they were like, no, just kidding. And I was like,
so this movie, I'm going off on a complete tangent because I feel like this movie was in a weird place in time. They finished filming of this movie in October 2019. Avengers Endgame came out. Jesus Christ, I hate my pets so much. That came out on April 22nd. I have a cat and a dog who are fighting underneath my desk, and my cat is potentially going to jump up on the mixer and cause a bunch of problems, as you can currently hear in the room right now. And just now they're gone. They're all over the place. What I'm trying to say is if this movie came out after Captain Marvel, it would make a lot more sense in where Marvel was writing at the time. Because coming out now, I feel like they've just gotten so much better when it comes to like writing, that this was definitely a product of its time and all of this shit. And the fact that it came out now is just kind of like, get it out there. ScarJo's done. She wants to not be she wants her send off. We did her dirty by not actually giving her a movie until now.
She's not a particularly, I don't want to turn this into the ScarJo bashing thing because I feel like I critique her too much, but she's not a particularly like compelling actress in this film. I haven't seen that much of her other work, but there's people we've had like on screen for 30 seconds and we already like them. And I feel like she just, like I said, we never knew her space. She's always felt a little robotic, and always felt like, anyways, in some ways that works because, she's supposed to be this super spy, but
right.
If this film had come out before Endgame, I would have cared more.
Totally. Dude, imagine you're 100% right. Imagine if Endgame happened with this story already in your brain. The sequence of events that occur in Endgame would be so much more impactful.
Oh, it'd be horrifying. But instead, that scene, I was like, who's two characters I don't care about? Flip a coin. I don't
Right.
I was like, I would rather have Hawkeye go a little bit, but I'm not, I'm sorry. I sound so bitter. I'm sorry, chat. I sound so. I'm waiting for the YouTube comments. I sound so salty. Like, I don't care about either one of these fuckers. Give me.
I mean, you're allowed to not like characters. That's fine. That's fine. But I mean, yeah,
based on writing, let's go back to writing for a minute.
Sure.
I know it's not necessary. I know it doesn't matter. And I know they did it on purpose just to annoy someone like me. But they made a father character who was a shitty father, who then realized his mistake of being a shitty father and was like, I have one little bit of wisdom that I'd like to give my daughter. And it literally is like, this is why she threw her, like this is why she's going to throw herself off the cliff at the end. And they did, you know, like the rule of 3, where like they tried it once, fail, try it twice, fail. And at the end, he's like, just mess it up anyway. I hate that. I hate that there was no payoff there. I hate that they purposefully were like, oh, what a goof. I hate that. I hate when they were just like
the actor's name, but I'm pretty sure that role is only redeemed by David Harbour. I'm just going to be honest.
100%.
Because in general,
he carried the fuck out of that role. Yeah.
Because like the beginning of the film, narratively and tonally, is so like it was almost jarring to me a little bit.
It felt like a 90s movie.
Well, it was also horrifying. Like it shows child trafficking.
Yeah.
Like it's horrible.
With the weirdest song horrible. Choice. It felt like I was watching a 90s rated R movie.
And you know, like he gets in the helicopter and he's like, "Oh, are you on your period?" Like, oh, he's so like, first of all, he heartlessly hands these girls over, knowing full and well what they're gonna go through.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he's in the helicopter. It seems like he doesn't really care about them, which I kind of liked that narrative arc for him, where I was like, wow, he's really a piece of shit.
He doubled
like,
down
are
on
you
being
on your
a piece
period?
Of shit. Yeah. He doubled down and then tripled down.
Yeah. And you know, Yelena's like, no, because they fucking basically gutted us like a fish. You know, it was horrible. It was dehumanizing.
Yeah.
But then they just kind of gloss over that because he sings Bye Bye Miss American Pie and he wants to be a family again. Like, you know, those 3 years, they were pretty good, right? And I'm like, these girls endured hell.
Yeah.
1 in 20 survive. You didn't know that they were even going to live.
It was a little weird because
they were tortured.
For me,
it's all over the place. The movie is all over the place.
I was laughing at the like one-off comments and the one-off jokes, right? But I did that thing where I would laugh at something in a movie and then I would look over to my wife to see if she was laughing, and she just was not laughing at all. And I was like, was that not funny? or did I just, what's going on here? And I think that was a pretty telling, exactly what you just said. It was telling that like the movie was all over the place in terms of tone. Because you're right, the opening of that movie, or at least the opening montage, we were watching that with the 12-year-old, and I'm like, do you understand the subtleties of what's being said here with all this imagery? I don't think they did, thankfully. But it was also like, if they did, that's going to be kind of fucked up.
It made me care about her. And I hate that they retconned that she killed that little girl, because I was like, I know this is going to sound really messed up, but I was low-key on her side. I was like, after what she's been through, she's been ripped from she went through the Red Room, was horrified by it, got to live a normal life and know what she was missing, was thrown back in. I would have blown up that asshole's daughter too. Are you kidding me? If it means I get out. And I know that sounds really messed up, but like Black Widow making that choice, sense. Natasha Romanoff making that choice. Why wouldn't you? She's been through hell. This woman has been through hell, literally, since she was a child.
That was the one bit of writing that I think was good, because
that's her whole point, is she's a monster and she knows she's a monster, but like also like that's like, why would she have empathy for this child? What childhood did she have?
But that is why.
Why should she feel for Dreykov's daughter? Dreykov took her ability to be a daughter and her ability to be a kid. If she wants to blow that kid up, who am I to judge her?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same reason. It's the same like character choice of It's the reason why she stays behind to save all the other. It's like a motivational thing.
It's the redemption.
Yeah, it's the reason why she stays behind to get all the other girls, is because of that one choice. And I like, from a writing standpoint, I get it, but it's like really dumb that's like, but the girl lived and now she's a killer. I guess too. Here's what I'll say.
I was like, no, let her live in that. Like she killed that little girl. Not like, oh, well, she's alive now and you forgave each other.
Right.
This movie is 2 movies, and the turning point is when they go to the prison to save David Harbour.
Alexei.
But like everything before that, I will honestly say, from the way the movie, from like the moment it started, where they're like in the Midwest, literally in a town that looked like where I grew up, and they like have to go on the run, and there's a shootout on like a plane, and then like the rest of it is basically 2 sisters, and they're almost like, I don't know, that relationship I loved Florence's character. I loved watching them. Like that chunk of the movie before they then and when got everything else.
It was a different movie.
I loved that film.
Yeah.
That was like very down to like on the ground level of what Marvel is. Totally. And it was just 2 characters on the run. And there's these 2 characters. And then they make a choice like, we got to go attack them. Clink. And from that point on, the movie goes off the rails. Like everything about that movie is off the rails from that point. But that first, I don't know, hour is like a really solid, good movie. And I was in. I was ready to be like,
yeah,
I think I love this movie. I think I love this. These characters are a lot of fun. What's going on? We saw like a really dark version of Black Widow, but then we also saw what Black Widow's become and how she's sort of like becomes soft hanging around her new family. And then, you know, Yelena's just like, what you like, what are you? You're literally on the cover of magazines, but you're a killer. Like, just like gets her. And I was like, oh, this is some good shit. I love this. She's making fun of like how she poses before she like murders dudes. I was like, this is great. Like, this is a critique even of like the character. I was like, oh, I love everything about this. Yeah. And then they're just like, and then they're just like, now let's go crazy. And like, who cares? Let's introduce characters in the last hour that you're supposed to suddenly be like, well, this is a different person, or this is a new person, or like, you know, introduce concepts of like, well, we control this pig's breathing. Like, I cared more about that pig's life than anyone else in the entire last half of that movie.
He was so cute. Yeah. He was so cute.
I was like, do not kill Alexei. I swear to God, if you kill that pig, I'll be real pissed off.
There was also a giant amount of it was odd. It was just odd going from these like the moment where she's like killing the pig or whatever, right? And then it goes back to like Alexei saying something shitty and kind of a joke, right? Like there's just these wild tone shifts from second to second. But I will say that the scene that happened right after that at the dinner table was probably the best scene in the entire movie for me. And it was probably because the actress, who's I'm forgetting, that played Yelena, was just godlike in that entire scene. It was probably the best acting throughout the entire movie.
How could you forget? She studied at Cambridge University. She knows all about the mummies.
Yes, that's true.
How could you?
That's true.
Yeah. Oh, you meant Yelena?
Yeah, I meant Florence.
I thought you meant Rachel Weisz. Sorry,
no, not Rachel.
My bad.
Rachel's also
my bad.
Yeah.
Let's be real. They both acted ScarJo. No, we're not doing that. I was gonna say both acted her under the table, but we're not doing that.
Yeah.
New year, new bronze. Much like Loki, I am turning over a new leaf. I am putting away my daggers and getting a sword.
I think it was written. I mean, I don't want to give an excuse to ScarJo's whatever you consider her performance to be, but I think from a writing perspective, like that was a moment for Yelena to shine, both as a character and as an actress, for sure.
She's much more compelling. Everything about her from moment one is more compelling and more interesting, and she has the, you know how like in I think it's Winter Soldier. No. It's Civil War. I think maybe it's Civil. I don't know. I think it's Winter Soldier. Is that where Sam first shows up? Winter Soldier, whatever it is.
Yeah.
In that scene where ScarJo pulls up in the car and she's like, you know, I'm looking for some old guy or whatever she says. The line she says, I'm looking for a fossil. Right. That line delivery with Florence Pugh would be like I already know it would be way better. I already know like the way she acts and the way she like her, like, the character who she is, the sarcasm and everything she says, because she's just kind of like over everything. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that as a character. And I think they did the casting
was great.
Perfect. She was perfect. Yeah. Perfect casting. I saw that her number one competition was Emma Watson. And I was like, oh God, they made the right choice. They made the right ass choice.
Look, I like Emma Watson, but I don't.
There's no way she could be this role. No way.
No way. No way at all. Yeah. I would just feel like we're watching Harry Potter at that point. She hasn't moved on from that role for me yet. Yeah. That would have been crazy.
To kind of add on to what Jesse said about the first hour of the movie versus the second hour, I really liked the first hour, and
it's good.
Like I was saying, it narratively, like, or tonally, just like at breakneck speed shift, and I wasn't able to keep up with it because the first half is really dark. I think also with her sister kind of like pointing out to her the hypocrisy of her new life and that her work as an Avenger doesn't wipe that ledger clean, to me made her sacrifice in Endgame make more sense. But by the end of this, I feel like she's atoned for that. So why does she throw herself into that ravine for the Soul Stone? Like, I feel like by the end of this movie, I don't know about the rest of you, I felt like, yeah, no, she's atoned for what she's done. But the first half of the movie, I was like, oh, is this why she kills herself? Like, is this why she sacrifices herself? Because her sister, and then her sister's going to live with that guilt when she hears this story of like, oh, yeah, no, it was me pointing out like, oh, look at all the fucking people you've murdered, and you have deals from Nike, you have sponsorships, and people worship you, but you're a freaking murderer. You've murked people, you've toppled regimes, you've done everything I've done, and now you've washed your hands clean of it, and you think you're a celebrity and you're friends with superheroes, and look at me, I'm still struggling, I'm having to get by any way I can, and you look down on me for sometimes leading a somewhat criminal lifestyle, but the reality is you've gone soft. I thought that was really gonna like underline why she's like, this is the only way I can make it right.
Yeah.
Like at my core, I'm always going to be a freaking murderer. I'm always going to be that person that blew up that kid until I throw myself into the Soul Stone. And that's what's going to be what wipes the ledger clean.
I think, yeah. In a lot of ways, I think that everything that leads up to the Soul Stone moment has nothing to do with this movie. And I feel like people expected this movie to actually like set that up.
Yes.
But I feel like the Soul Stone moment was just there to basically get Hawkeye fans and Black Widow fans to be like, oh, no, I want to, I can't believe that she's, I can't believe, is he going to sacrifice? Oh, God, what's going to, okay, they're dead.
There are dozens of us. Yeah. Dozens!
And then it moved forward. But to like get any sense of, what's the word? Closure or reasoning as to why that took place the way it did from this movie is a fool's errand. Like, there's nothing. There's really no reason.
That's why I thought they were trying to get Alexi's character to say, like,
you're trying to find the connection.
Yeah, he was literally going to say exactly why she sacrificed herself. That was what he was going to tell her. Yeah. And then he literally was like, nah, I'm good. So that plot point goes nowhere. What's crazy about this film is at one point, Yelena's just like, why not get your gods to help you? Yeah, get your like the dudes who fly to like do the work. And at the end of the movie, they literally have a fight on a falling piece of debris from like a sky fortress, which is like insane. That is how this movie ends. When the start is like we're on the run from like lady assassins, and the biggest stunt we pull is we like fall. We like fall off a building, and that's like, one girl falls off a building and is like, well, I'm dead. And then Black Widow falls and like hits
3 things falling down, and then
I can't.
Beginning of the movie.
That is a movie trope.
To Aaron, I was like,
that is a movie trope that I hate. I hate that trope because it's like, well, the person who falls and doesn't hit things on the way down, perfectly fine. That person's dead. But the person who falls and hits like 8 things on the way down, well, those 8 things they slammed into, that's what stopped them from dying. That's crazy. That's an insane.
I know exactly what scene you're talking about because I looked over at Aaron and I said, she's dead, right? Like, I feel like
terminal velocity is a thing.
They put too much weight in the dummy that fell there because holy shit, parts of it just connected.
Yeah, she like I get it when it's Captain America. And Captain America like falls and hits 80 things, and you're like, damn, he probably got one bruise off of that.
Or he jumps down the stairwell or whatever. Yeah.
This is literally, and they make the point numerous times. You're literally just a person. You have no special powers at all, and you just hit like, not like awning. You know, like sometimes you hit the on, like in a kung fu movie, they hit awning, and at the end they're like, "Whoo, I'm fine." This was like hit a balcony, hit the side of a building, hit like you are dead. There's no way you're getting up and be like, oh,
I remember that scene specifically. It was silly.
I hate stuff like that. Every time it happens, I'm like,
this just goes to further like underline that the first half of the movie is disconnected from the second half, because the first half underlines what makes Black Widow interesting. It's first of all stakes. Seeing her bruises after that altercation on the bridge is jarring. It reminds us, it makes us, like I said, feel more rooted to the character. It's why we love Daredevil. There is a chance she can freaking die. But it also underlines where she shines. She doesn't shine in beating Taskmaster hand to hand. She shines in the mission. She gets the freaking mission done because she's smart. She secures the payload and gets out.
Yeah.
She's smarter than him. She doesn't have to beat him because she's smarter than him. Or sorry, I'm still thinking of Taskmaster. Smarter than her. And then same thing with like, I loved that opening scene where she's like, oh, this just looks desperate. And you're like, oh, are they going into her room? And she's on a boat in freaking Norway. She's miles, light years ahead of these guys.
It was very good.
Yeah.
The first half of the movie highlights what makes her, what should make that character interesting. Why, in my opinion, she doesn't necessarily belong in these big galactic battles because she doesn't have a place there. But like, she's good at extracting information. She's good at finishing the mission and knowing what that takes to do it. And we feel invested in her because we know at any point in time she could break her spine and just be done for, right? But the second half of the movie just doesn't fall in line. Second half of the movie, you're like, if Iron Man was here, this whole flying Colossus, where, like...
It definitely...
I get that they're all arrested because Civil War or whatever, but it's like... It's just weird to me.
The second half of the movie definitely was like, guys, we need to make a summer blockbuster out of this. And the first half is like, guys, we need a spy thriller to come out like in the fall. So how do we combine the two of those? Because we don't know when this movie's actually going to come out because the world's kind of crazy.
Literally, it is almost the exact plot of the second Captain America movie.
A little bit.
It's almost the exact plot where it's like it starts out street level spy stuff. Like, by the way, I think that is one of the best Black Widow moments is on that boat when she's like hacking satellite stuff and Cap's out fighting this dude.
Oh yeah.
And you know, she's keeping information from him because that's who she is.
Yeah.
And like, what a great, but it's literally, it's all street level. It's them like, we got to do spy stuff for half a movie. And then the end is like, we are in 3 giant ships that are about to destroy every like bad person that the Hydra people are like, we got to get rid of them. And there's a huge, like, but that moment isn't, oh, and then the normal people go do that fight. That moment is like a guy with metal wings and machine guns and a dude who is like literally Captain America go and like jump on and they take them down while Scarlett Johansson is in a mask in the room with the bad guy pretending to be one of his like compatriots and shit. Like that's what she does. That's who her character is. She's the one who's like, and then she like, you know, shoots like it all makes sense. She's a part of the team. She's doing the work that needs to get done. She's the inside person while Cap and everyone else is like bringing down the ships outside. And in this story, they were like, well, she did the same thing, except she also has to bring down the thing
because she's the main character
and then survive the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why she and Hawkeye work as side characters because they're like the normies hanging out with the superpowered people. And it's like, oh, it's fun to watch them do their thing, but also recognize that their thing is not, it's what makes the superpowered people look superpowered because they can do things that it's wild to me that like, oh yeah. And then they all survive the massive falling.
Well, the weirdest thing
building,
the weirdest thing for me, when it came to that thing falling, and this is one of those things where it's like, that wouldn't happen in real life. None of this would have probably happened in real life. But when they show the thing actually falling after all this other debris hit, I was very confused because it was like a mile away. Right? Like, it was off the fucking distance, hitting a forest or something there at the end. And that was also a little bit strange. But yeah.
Look, I mean, don't even question the fact that during this time period, why did they think that they could get away with that? Just having it up there.
Right.
You're not telling me that, I mean, Tony Stark was around then. Why wouldn't he have known the existence of a flying fortress?
Well, it was above the radar, Jesse. It was up in the sky.
Above the radar?
They gave a line to like satiate exactly what you're saying, and it was above the radar. That's what they said in the movie.
Above the radar is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You can fly below radar. That's a thing for sure. If it was an underground facility, sure. But a like floating fortress, it makes no sense.
You know,
it had cloud generators, Jesse.
I was set up for failure on this because I have seen so many pieces of media with like a lab no one can find.
Right.
Whether that's like the 12 Monkeys show or in Hitman, it's like it's a train. It's always moving. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So like they just like it's a train. It's on a train. The lab is like one car of the train. You never know which train it is and where it's going. And I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. So I was waiting, like, all right, how are they hiding the Red Room? Let's see. Is it going to be like, a moving thing? Is it moves all the time? Yeah. I was like, is it going to be like, it's a concept? The Red Room is a concept now. I don't even know. And instead it was like, it's a flying castle. And I was like.
They literally did the text that shows up when you enter a new area in Control. Like, it went Red Room. And I was like, get out of town.
They did that, and I was like, I mean, I guess this is like an Avengers tie-in, or like a Winter Soldier tie-in, because that was a little bit weird.
It made no sense why they just white texted it.
They did that for Norway, too.
So they did it twice?
Yeah, they went Norway. Did they not? Am I crazy? They did, like, when she's, like, on the ferry, they were like,
I guess it was a bigger, more noticeable
moment. Oh, they did that for Ohio and Cuba too? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I clearly
didn't notice any of those except for the Red Room one.
Yeah, totally.
It was so jarring that it was just like Red Room. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, they did it for all the locations.
Also, can you guys, the whole thing between Black Widow and Hawkeye, with them always mentioning Budapest throughout the entire existence of the characters.
I actually like that in this movie.
That was them killing the child, right? Or killing Dreykov?
Yes, that was her getting out. They had to stay hidden.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. I actually
that was Yeah, and so like every time they talk about it in the movies, I even like the fact that like she calls it Budapest and they're like, it's Budapest. I actually like that. Yeah. Even though it's so dumb and silly, I was like, I've often thought about that in the movies too. Like, why do they say it so specifically with that, like, Pest? And I like I said, the first half of this movie, I liked they skewered the Black Widow character a little bit, and they saw the silliness of what that character was. And they had a character who literally is another Black Widow be like, look at you. Like, just look at you. Yeah. And what a like fun way to tell a story. And then again, they were like, and now let's crank it to Marvel 11, which they do in every Marvel movie. It's like, well, the ending can't be just like they fight a guy on a bridge. The ending is like, and then on the space station, as the lasers are about to fire at the sun, our hero, it's like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I also was so disenchanted with the whole, like, well, the Avengers are like my family. I was like, are they? I didn't feel that way. I felt like Jesse pointing out that she's like always withholding information from Cap and stuff like that. I feel like they feel that way about her. Yes. I never felt that she felt that way about them.
If you go and look, like, I guess the closest sense of that vibe from her would be during the scene in the very beginning of Age of Ultron, where they're all like drinking in the skyrise at Avengers Tower or whatever at that party. Like, I kind of got that vibe there. Granted, a lot of her scene was with.
Whoa, she fell on the nerd. And he's like, bro, I don't want to get a boner because it might turn green. Yeah, great. Great.
Yeah, that whole thing was a little weird.
All I'm saying is All I'm saying is Age of Ultron is a mess, y'all. Has a mess of a movie. That is like
Hey, that scene though was really good. The whole like hammer goof and all that stuff. It was good. I like that part.
That was fun. The hammer goof is fun.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's true to like the nature of these characters, and it gives us a fun look into who Cap is. That as a standalone scene is great.
Yeah.
I'm saying like the party is kind of weird. It makes no sense. The like there's a lot in that movie that exists. The party felt like one of those scenes from Ocean's 11, 12, and or 13 where they like filmed a thing. They like filmed a thing with everyone together and then like didn't include a script and we're like, just have fun.
Yeah.
And then they put it in the movie because like we're all friends here. We had fun making this movie, right? That's what it felt like. And it had no purpose except to have that one scene where they pick up the hammer, which later became important. I think it was just thrown in there, obviously, as like a goof. And then to introduce Ultron at the end of it, where they were all together in the same room and it could be a way to introduce that character. Other than that, like, I don't like Age of Ultron. I don't like that movie at all.
How many times have you seen it?
Enough to know that I love.
You don't like it?
Well, I love. Oh, my brain just died. The actor who plays Ultron.
The Blacklist guy. Yeah, I can't.
Yes.
I can't.
Daniel Jackson from Stargate.
That's it.
James Spader. Yeah,
there you go.
I know that I love James Spader in that role because I love James Spader in everything he does because James Spader is amazing, and I liked him being Ultron, and I know that I liked seeing Vision, and I know that I was like, oh, cool. There's like some X-Men stuff in this, but the rest of it, everything else, I was like, nah. The big plan is to like raise a city into the sky and drop a city. That's your master stroke of like, I will destroy the planet. Like, all right, cool. It felt very like out of I don't know, man. It's just
there's a lot of the current MCU is from that movie. Like it all has drawbacks to that movie. So I think that movie is actually getting better as the MCU moves forward, but that's a conversation for another time.
The things that are in it, like contextually and lore wise, are fun. They continue on, but I think like the way the movie is, the Whedonness of it sucks.
There's a lot of Whedon in it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I years ago I was over the whole Whedon shtick. Like every movie he makes, every TV show he makes is like roughly the same.
You don't like a conversation about whether or not a couple should be together to end with their ability to have children? You're crazy. That what? I thought that's like, that's how every conversation ends. Like, hey, I like you, you like me. Maybe something can happen here. I don't have ovaries. Oh, okay, never mind.
Well, I'm going to get in this Quinjet and fly the fuck away to another planet. So I'll see.
He was so upset. He was so
the
upset.
The only point of fornicating is having children. So I'm going to leave.
He was so mad about that. He was like, I'm Hulk, no smash. And he flew away.
Nice. Well done.
I'm Hulk, no smash. I love
Hulk,
it.
no smash. And he went to another planet. He was so mad he left Earth.
He was like, this bitch doesn't have ovaries. I'm out. I'm out. That's all women are good for. I'm done. And I love that they retconned that in this too and kind of made fun of it a little bit.
A little bit.
Because it is presented in a humorous way. Whereas like in that movie, it's like, I can't have children. And I was like, oh, does she really want children? I didn't know that.
Right. Yeah.
Can the Hulk even have children? Why is this a conversation that's happening? Can Banner have kids? What did the gamma radiation do to his spermos?
Like, couldn't they just love each other?
That's what I was gonna say. Shouldn't you all date? Why are you talking about kids? Like, shouldn't y'all go on a couple of dates, smash a couple times, see if y'all are compatible? Already talking about children?
Yeah.
And then they realize, well, I can't have children, so I guess this relationship isn't worth having. And I'm like, what?
Well, I mean, it's nice to know that their relationship would have strictly just been like So, I got to stop doing Hulk impression. Just like, well, Widowmaker can't go on this mission.
Widowmaker?
I'm so sorry. We're on like kid number 5, guys. We can't be a part of this. I gotta take care of the kids.
I've got a cousin. She's
Natasha's
a lawyer.
In
if
labor.
you want to go check her, maybe she'll be able to help. She might be able to help you out. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. We can't help. Yeah. We've left the Avengers to have a lot of kids. We're gonna go on a farm and like we're gonna live like it's the 1800s, where you have to have like 80 kids because half of them die. All right, like it's such a weird. You're right. Like I've never been even when people were like, Whedon is a genius. I've never been a fan.
That was because Buffy was good, and that was it.
Buffy was not good. It was not good.
No.
It was not
Some
good.
episodes of Buffy
were good. It was not
good. There were a handful of episodes of Buffy were good.
Thank you, Jesse.
I've never been a fan. Not once. Never. It was not good. I will say that some of the Angel stuff that I saw, I was like, oh,
Angel's
that's kind
better
of fun.
show. Angel's better show.
I was like, 100%. That's kind of fun.
Angel's better.
Buffy was not a good.
Angel's better show. I will agree to that. I watch the shit out of Angel every morning on TNT at 6 and 7 a.m. because, yes, I was still awake at that time in my terrible gremlin years.
And while we're talking about spinoff shows being better than the original, Xena was obviously better than Hercules. Just putting that out there. If we're talking about what was on Saturday morning.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
no, there's not a human being on Earth that's like, Hercules is better than Xena. No, I think everyone knows that. Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure that actor who plays Ares in Xena, there's a scene where she like jumps on him and wraps her legs around him. Even as a child, I was just like, my pants are hot. I don't know what to do. And I'm pretty sure that's why I'm bisexual now.
Well, there you go.
So thank you to Xena. Because I was like,
I think Xena had that effect on a lot of people, to be honest.
What to do with this? Everyone is attractive. I was,
Here's
as a child, I was like,
I think we're the same. I watched Xena and I saw Callisto.
Had that effect on a ton of different people, on a ton of different
I saw Callisto and she was crazy person. And I was like, boy, I love crazy people. And now she was like, I'll kill everyone. And I hate you, Xena. I was like, oh, that's hot. Oh, that's the hottest one on that show. She's cuckoo Cocoa Puffs. I love that. Yeah. Says a lot about me.
Callisto is hot though. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. She had she's evil. I like that.
Too.
I didn't watch
She had the crazy eyes a little bit.
I didn't watch
Xena was great. Xena was great even when she was like, and now I'm Celtic for some damn reason. It was great even when it was off the rails. It was great. Xena is like insane.
Didn't watch that much.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta. Everyone just take time to go back and watch that show. It's crazy in like
Joxer?
The best way.
I like Joxer too.
I don't know any of these characters. Is this what it's like when you get a Marvel fan who's talking to a non-Marvel fan? And
yes, absolutely. Dun 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 dun.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. Yeah.
It's finally a fandom I can't do a show about. Right there. Never seen it.
When I was a kid, I was so obsessed. I had like waist length black hair with blunt cut across blanks, and I would run around going, yeah! I was obsessed with Xena.
Would you just kick someone afterwards, or like what was the deal?
No. But I definitely,
so you were the
I definitely wanted to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It was in thought.
Yes. It was in thought, I think the worst thing I ever did was in kindergarten, a boy that liked me threw sand in my eyes and I slapped him.
Nice.
Did
you do the Yena the Xena yell? Wow.
The Yena?
The Yena Zell?
I did that Yena.
That's a drug, Jesse.
Slap.
That's a drug. The Yena's a drug. It's what causes you to do the Yena yell. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a yell and a backflip and then
right. Everyone was impressed, but also a little worried. Yeah. Everyone was like, whoa, that was a lot. That was a lot for sand.
It's a little shocking, yeah.
It was in my eyes specifically.
Oh, that's the worst.
You put it in my eyes specifically. Yeah.
Pocket sand movement.
Yeah, pocket sand.
It's awful. It's bad time. Anyways, that's Black Widow, I think, ultimately. I think we've moved on. I will say this. We were pretty harsh on the show, but I think we look at everything pretty critically. I will say that I still enjoyed the movie. I still thought it was fine. It definitely had some issues though. And it definitely felt out of time for me.
The first hour, like we said, I enjoyed that first hour.
Yeah.
It was very good. I loved everything about it. And then it like went off the rails to the point where I was like, it wasn't a bad movie, but at a certain point it was not good anymore.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did like that they went back to the Sokovia Accords, which is like a pretty big deal in the grander MCU or the grander comics. And like, we got to see a little bit more of that rather than like Civil War and that's it. But at the same time, they fucked up Taskmaster. I mean, they did him bad. That was bad.
I did like that bridge fight though. I felt like that was a really cool fight.
Yeah.
And
at the beginning, that was dope.
Didn't see how she was gonna win it. I didn't see how she was gonna win.
Anytime that she fought Taskmaster, it was great. And then it was revealed who she was, and I just wasn't into it. Granted, I don't know how you put that into that world without being like, oh yeah, this is a former Black Widow. Because if you're like, oh yeah, this is Chuck. We found him in Jersey. He's got a photographic memory and he can just copy her abilities.
Well, the smart thing they should have done was Taskmaster is a separate character. And when the Red Room goes down, Taskmaster, like all good villains in the MCU, like, yeah, it's like, I'll be back one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was working for these guys.
With Taskmaster, it makes sense because like, and I understand comic book lore is separate than MCU, and I try not to compare the two, but typically he trains thugs and goons and villains and criminals. That's his whole thing. He trains them and starts like these schools where he teaches them how to fight.
Yep.
So I thought, because we knew Taskmaster was going to be in this movie, that Taskmaster would be at the Red Room training the widows. And then he gets deployed to help. I thought that's what it was going to be. And instead it was like, no.
Yeah.
What a fun plot that would have been for a future movie to have people like, you know, the Avengers or whoever show up, like Captain America shows up to stop some hoodlums, but they suddenly know how to like defend against Cap's shield. And it's like, wait a minute. How did they learn this information? And it's like, oh, Taskmaster has been teaching them. Like, that's, I think, a way cooler way to keep that character going. And to now make it so it's like, there aren't just like easy dudes. Like, everyone's learning from the tapes how to handle these people. And now being superhero isn't just like, I can go in and like knock 8 guys out. Like, now everyone is doing kind of like what they were doing in the first Spider-Man movie, where it's like, oh no, we're like powering up ourselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did anybody else think it was funny that Yelena in the beginning did the Arya Stark move? The whole drop the dagger into the other hand.
I thought that was a reference to Winter Soldier. Because
it is. I mean, it is.
Yeah. Okay. Taskmaster also does the same thing in the fight versus Alexi.
Well, I thought Taskmaster learned it from Yelena, but it makes more sense that he would have learned it from Winter Soldier.
Yeah, because he does the same thing against Alexi later on in the movie.
In my head, that was like the Arya move, but you're right.
Yeah.
And also, I love that it is like a thing that happens a lot in Marvel movies, that exact same move. Yeah. But I love that in this one, Florence, I don't know if it was a character. I don't know how they did this, but I felt like during that scene, she was faking being in pain so she could pull that move off.
Yes,
she was like, "Oh, you beat me! Oh no!"
Espionage. Yeah. 100%.
And I was like, "Oh, I love that! I love that she like punked this lady out." I thought that was great, and that was something that again goes back to, I think she's just an incredible actress, and so like as an actor, she nailed that like entire character, and she did it on a level where I was like, I'm picking up like little things that normally I'm not picking up from a lot of like Marvel characters. And I was like, "Oh, I like everything about her."
I didn't even realize until I read a comment about it that on the bridge fight with Taskmaster, when he swings back in, that's the first time we see Spider-Man. That's that move. He does the flip and lands down. That's a Spider-Man move. And I didn't put that together as well until someone mentioned it. So he kind of like did everything.
There was a little Black Panther in there too, but it didn't.
He went like
show
this,
anything.
and then it just cut away. And it's like,
I know. I was like, I wanted to see it. I wanted to see where they were going with the chink. I thought that was gonna be like this big moment, and then they were like cut, and I was like,
yeah.
Why you got 15 minutes of falling through the sky on debris, and we didn't get to see Taskmaster pull off a Black Panther move?
I wish he just had Falcon's wings when they were falling. That would have been pretty great.
Yeah, well, if you're going to install the claws, you're going to install the claws, which 100%. Serve no purpose movie-wise.
100%.
Why not have the wings? That would have been amazing.
It would have been cool. And then Black Widow would have been completely destroyed. Could have just clipped the fucking parachute, and then she's dead. Never gets the Soul Stone. That was also a big deal. The entire time I was watching with Aaron, I kept saying, she's going to survive this. Yeah. She was like, well, yeah, but it's more interesting to see like how she's. No, I don't care. I know that there's zero penalty. She just jumped out of this thing without a parachute. She's going to survive the fall. There's no question about it. And I couldn't like break that in my mind of there just being no penalty. And they didn't even put penalties on the other characters because they never put the other characters in dire situations. So you never
was shocked
for them.
They all lived. I was so shocked
that
they all made it. I was like,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Even when the movie ended and was like, we're totally fine. Don't worry. I was like, what the? And then like a Quinjet lands and it's like, we're all fine too. And I was like, okay. All right. And then he looks down to the ground and she's like, hey, Taskmaster's pretty okay too. And I was like, what is this?
And then they just like carry her into the plane and fly away. We never.
A literal like
for
cloud building.
Taskmaster's okay too.
Taskmaster's okay too. A literal cloud building fell from the sky and like 6 guys died. An entire organization was on there and like 6 dudes died. Most of them not even in the building. It was when their ship got blown up by a stick.
Sure. Yeah.
Crazy. The logic went out the window and they were like, it will look cool though. I mean, I guess. Nonsense.
True.
Taskmaster's also here.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Sometimes Jesse says some stupid shit and it's in my brain. It lives in my brain rent free for like 4 months. So I'm still on like last week's like, I am also a timekeeper and I am here as well. And I feel like I came back with the stupid Taskmaster like, I am also okay. I am here as well.
Oh, Marvel Lord. Does that frequently where they have like a character who's there in the scene but like does nothing but they say like one line. That is what Taskmaster was at the end. It was like a family reunion. Everyone was happy and then it was like, don't forget about me, Taskmaster.
They just drag her off. Yeah. It's true. That's true. I hope we see those characters again. I hope that they're not like one and done. Those characters being like Alina, which we'll definitely see in Hawkeye. She's already confirmed. But like Red Guardian and the Black Widows and that whole like quote unquote family. I hope we see them again. David Harbour, probably one of the best. Probably second best to Yelena in the show for me. And I'd love to see him just interact with.
He's in.
Yeah, David Harbour's great. I would love to just see him as that character interact with anyone from the MCU. I think it would be always funny. So I hope he's not done. I hope he comes back. We'll see. I think that's it. I think we're done.
Cool.
We got Loki episode 6.
We did it, y'all. It only took 1 extra hour.
It's true. Yeah, this is the 1 hour show here on the MCU Crew.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to get kind of bad because we're going to have to upload our podcast bandwidth per month because we're over the data cap because the episodes are too long.
Great. It means we're doing great. People love it.
It's not that people are downloading it. It's that you can only upload a certain amount.
Shut your mouth.
Gosh, okay. Many of you are downloading the podcast.
All right. Okay. All right.
Love it. Love to see it.
It's true. It's true.
Thank you so much for all your downloads.
Appreciate it, guys. Let's do some shout outs. Bronze, what do you got going on? Where can people check you out? What's happening?
Hi. Hello. I'm that Bronze Girl. I'm a full-time Twitch. I do this all the time, and yet I still am not good at it. Full-time content creator on Twitch. I've got a D&D game that I DM Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Usually the VOD is uploaded Monday morning, but it's Monday and it's not uploaded, so I guess you could say I dropped the ball on that. I'm playing some Monster Hunter stories this week, and I think some Stalker. So that's me. Hi, hello.
Awesome.
You can follow me on Twitter and on Twitch. I'm close to 30,000 on Twitter. So I would appreciate your help, chat.
Go drop a follow, chat. Do it.
Big milestone.
Jesse.
Oh my God. Hi, I'm Bronze Girl. I'm also here.
Hey, everyone. It's me, the Bronze Girl.
What?
I, too, am a part of this. It's me, Jesse Cox. And I, too, am a part of this podcast.
Did you go like Icelandic for a second there? What the?
Don't worry.
Oh, now you're Vlad.
I am a vampire. Hey, boy, I do a lot of things, but the thing I do the most is stan that Bronze Girl. Watch the car Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific time, I think. Definitely tune in. It'll make you happy. And I don't know. I do goofs on the internet, and you can see me every Monday right here as we talk the MCU. Who knows what we're going to talk about 2 weeks from now? That'll be fun. So tune in as I try to stretch this show as long as possible from nothing to something.
There you go. We'll see.
What was that look? You were like, whoa.
It was one of those things where I was making sure that it doesn't matter. I didn't resize this screen, so I'm off center and everything's weird, and I got to do all this stuff. Anyways, what are we doing later? We'll do JPNN after this. Watching more Downton Abbey with Jericho and Luxie. It's 6 p.m. Eastern today. Drop frames maybe on Wednesday. There's not too much to talk about, and Zeke was banned, so we don't have any games to play for him. Jesse and I will probably be back later this week. We're trying to figure out a time and date for that, to sit down with Co and do Forward and Back again, season 2, episode 1. So we'll figure that out. And then there are probably just more games between now and then. So there's that.
Hey, Deadpool!
I still have it up. I still have it up because I keep looking over it and it brings me so much joy.
Hey, Deadpool, over here. It's me, Thanos.
It brings me so much joy. I'm going to tweet this
image
out.
We had biology together. Miss Stevenson's class.
It's just a great panel. It's just great. It's just a 10 out of 10 panel. Love it.
Hey, remember me, nerd? I used to pick on you in high school. I've got a helicopter now. Me and Death, we're dating now. That girl you had a crush on.
It's so good. It's I love every bit of it. I love it so much.
Oh, man.
Anyways, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week. We'll talk about that Loki finale. I hope we're right. I hope we guessed it from the get-go. I need a yes or no. Is Kang going to be there? Jesse, next week, Kang, yes, no?
I'm 100% in on Kang or Immortus, which is basically Kang.
Okay, that's a yes. Bronze, yes or no? Kang.
Kang, allusion to Kang, but not Kang himself.
I'm going to go with Kang is in the episode, but he's not the big bad. He's the post-credit. That's mine.
Yeah, okay, so same.
Yeah, same, but different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think the entire episode is all Kang. They do not conclude this Loki story. Loki and Sylvie die in the vacuum of space, and it's 45 minutes of Kang being like, I control the world. Pew, 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 pew. That's what it is.
All right.
And it's like a real twist. No one sees it coming.
Jesse's going for the lottery win. He's gonna. He's
and then Immortus is gonna be like, I am also here at the end of time.
Iron Lad is like, I too am the Kang.
Taskmaster shows up. Hey guys, remember me?
Taskmaster's here too. Like on the floor bleeding out.
Yeah.
Just for no reason. I'm here too, me Taskmaster.
He ends up in the void after falling from the fucking red room. That's accurate.
In the background, a helicopter flies by. Hey, Kang! Hey, Kang, it's me, Thanos!
We're out of here. Thank you so much for watching the MCU Crew. Make sure to grab us where podcasts are available via, the MCU Crew. Have a good one. Bye-bye.